AMAC, Kyle Beats. We're sitting here. You're in Austin. I'm in Dallas, but we managed to be watching the game together. Pretty awesome, man. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm doing well, man. I'm glad to be on here with you doing something live. You get to relieve me from, I believe, is Chris Collinsworth calling this tonight?
Yeah, dude. Did you happen to see what him and Al Michaels were wearing right at the beginning of the game?
No, I didn't have the privilege. What was it?
They had those old timey like press hats on with like actual press in their thing. I think Jason took a picture of it and put it out on Twitter. So, yep.
Man, Collinsworth is a beating to me, but Al Michaels is great. So he brings it down a little bit, but it all evens out.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you get a chance? You see that first possession of the Packers there? Just
absolutely
run, screen, sack, 3 and out.
Killed themselves.
Aaron Rodgers already looking like he's just pissed at another play caller.
Oh yeah, dude. He's furious already for sure. That's no doubt about it.
Yep. And the Bears defense picked up really right where it left off last year, except they added Davis over from Carolina and made a big first play with, I think it was a tackle for loss or tackle for no gain. So that defense is going to continue to be ferocious this year.
I really think so too, man. I think it's going to continue to be pumping because everybody kind of thinks it's going to take a step back. I'm not really sure why people think that. It's a really good defense.
I know. I was in that camp. Yeah. I think their special teams, because they had like a lot of special teams plays last year and like a lot of weird, like they'll still be a good defense, like yards per game, points per game, but they're not going to have the crazy turnover situation they had last year. I guess I was talking more from that standpoint.
That's fair. It's completely
But
fair.
I still think it'll be probably, a top 5 to 7 overall defense for sure. So we got Packers just forced the fourth down right there. That was big. The way it looked like at the beginning, it kind of looked like Chicago was going to score on that drive, at least the field goal.
Yeah. You want to know something I'm really pissed about? You're going to love this.
What's that?
So this is the first game of the year, Thursday Night Football, which has traditionally always been the Super Bowl winners. And they hoist the banner, and, they get their rings, and it's a good celebratory situation.
Yep.
All that. And they changed it this year to be Bears-Packers because of the quote-unquote rivalry or whatever. I have a theory, though. I think that fucking Roger Goodell didn't want to go to Foxborough for the first game this year. And I think that...
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
And if it wasn't this, it was going to be some other stupid excuse. And it's another example of how bad that guy is. He really is the worst.
Well, it's pretty clear that he hates the Patriots, but he has to... not hate them too much because they are the breadwinners officially at this point. Them and the Cowboys. And right. They're playing the Steelers week 1. The Steelers are a pretty marquee franchise as well.
Yeah. No, it's a good game. I'm not complaining
about that. Best game of the week. I don't understand why that's not on there. That has to be the reason.
I don't disagree with that, and I would be completely fine with that game being played tonight. It doesn't make any sense. They've never done it this way. It's always been the same.
Right. But what's the argument for this? Like, what was the excuse for the change? Was it that's the Bears? Is it their 100th season?
It's dude. So this is going to be a 2-year celebration of 100, which I find really ridiculous. This is the 100th season, but it's the 100th season, but the 99th year of the NFL.
Okay.
And so I guess these two teams fought it out back in the day before the NFL officially became a thing. And so they claim this as being like the quote-unquote first Super Bowl. So I get the mentality of it. But
this is the best rivalry in the NFL, though, correct?
When they're good, yeah. But, it's really rare that you get them both on the same page at the same time. But, I don't know.
But I guess you're just talking rivalries in the NFL.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Straight rivalry, it's definitely up there.
Like Dallas Redskins and Dallas Eagles feels big to me because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I don't know if that's as big nationally.
That used to be a bigger thing than it is now.
Well, yeah, when the Cowboys were good, it was, Cowboys
and the Redskins
Niners,
too.
Cowboys, Steelers. Those aren't really things anymore.
But when the Redskins were good too, that was kind of the difference. So it was always kind of a, then Dan Snyder showed up and really messed it all up for him.
So that has to be the biggest rivalry in the NFL by a mile. There's not even that many, quote unquote true rivalries in the NFL, is there? I think I was talking to my pops about this the other day. I think Baltimore and Pittsburgh is a pretty legit one. I think those are kind of two gritty cities, and those fan bases and teams actually hate each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a pretty big one. I'm trying to think. I remember the Cowboys 49ers being a really big one just because of the NFC rivalry thing back in the day, but right. I don't know.
I
So I
guess you
grew
were
up with
probably
that
you were.
one.
I mean,
I was in
you were
California when
living
that
in
was.
Northern
Yeah.
California, and I mean, that was like mid '80s to early '90s. Were you? Were you? I mean, were you watching sports at that time though?
I was more watching baseball than anything
Okay.
else. Like that was I wasn't really. I mean, the Patriots were terrible at this point in time, and like it just they weren't really. Oh boy,
Oh wow.
um, they weren't really relevant. I don't know. Just football wasn't nearly as relevant in my life at that point in time. Like I've always been and always will be a baseball guy first. But I mean, man, and I love basketball too. And I don't know. I just feel like it depends on what time of the year and at what situation you catch me as to which I like better that day. But
Right.
I mean, man, I've always been all three of these, but more so foot or baseball first.
You would go baseball one. Yeah.
It's tough though. I mean, man, I love basketball too though.
I flip flop between basketball and football depending on what season I'm,
Yeah.
fully submerged in.
Well, and luckily it doesn't really like a lot of the NBA season doesn't overlap baseball, so I'm able to do like
Sure.
NBA and NFL kind of at the same time. So that's kind of nice.
Dude, I mean, do the Packers have a yard here?
No.
And my mistake earlier, I don't know why I thought Thomas Davis came over from Carolina. It was Roquan Smith. They both wear 58 and they're both look like they're freaking bodybuilders that can play football. But yeah, it's Roquan Smith, which is a second-year kid out of Georgia, which was just an absolute stud in college and stud his rookie year. You pair him with Mack, and I mean that's a hell of a combo.
Dude, I'm telling you. I mean, they're bringing the heat on the line, and
Khalil Mack is freaking yoked, man.
he really is. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is on the backside of his career big time here.
I mean, yeah, that's like.
I mean, that's a given, I know, but like,
he's 35 and he just got set. Yeah, they are like negative 10 yards net right now.
Let's go. I love this.
Yeah, the under is looking pretty good tonight. Everybody working out the kinks week one.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be the case pretty much across the board.
Yep.
Unless you got big Nick Foles coming out and just tearing things up in Jacksonville against Kansas City, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Really.
Yeah, I mean that when we we aired the Perpetually Correct pod this morning. We did it last night, and me, you, and Jason were not on the same page on that game. I think you and Jason both see that being kind of a tight game down there in Jacksonville.
I definitely do.
I just think Mahomes is picking up where he left off.
I'm with you, man, and I think he's got the right.
I mean, the Jags D's legit though.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing here, I think, because.
But you as like the biggest proponent of top-down organizational issues should not be confident in the way the Jaguars are ran.
Why is that?
I don't think the Jaguars are a real well-ran organization. Do you?
I think they're a really small market team, and I don't.
Are they though?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I guess you're not going by population of the city. You're going by just how much that city cares about football.
Yeah, and the share of the pie, I think too. Like, I mean, you're not going to compare them to like the Cowboys. Those are on the two opposite ends of the spectrum as far as like just establishedness. Because I mean, the Jags aren't even that old of a team. When did they become a team in the league?
98, 99?
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, they haven't even been around that long. I don't know, man. They've definitely struggled in the past. I don't think the owner's very good at choosing a general manager and choosing a direction. They've stuck with Doug Marrone and everything there for a while, though. And isn't Tom Coughlin in that front office?
Yeah, I like Tom Coughlin's actually what's turned that defense around. He's a great defensive mind.
Yeah, dude.
They've made some better decisions.
Lately,
recently, but
yeah,
I love the Jalen Ramsey pick. I love the other corner Boye, but I don't know, man. The GM smoked that Blake Bortles pick so bad, and it really, really set them back. Because if you had a Dak level of quarterback on that team, what was it, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
When they basically had the Patriots beat, or that was 2 seasons ago, they had the Patriots beat in the AFC Championship. If you had a decent quarterback in that game, I think you win that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's the difference between a Super Bowl appearance and not. So, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I've had a problem with the way that organization was ran. I mean, they had that little run. It's probably like early 2000s, maybe, with Mark Brunell and Fred Taylor and Jimmy Smith.
Smith, dude.
Jimmy Smith, bro.
There's your name.
I probably got a Jimmy Smith jersey in the mix somewhere. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of that organization, I guess. And I just think that the Chiefs are going to, easily win 12 to 13 games again this year, where a lot of people are seeing them take a little bit of a step back, but obviously still be a playoff contender.
Yeah,
Their first season was 95, Jacksonville. So a little earlier than that.
Okay. I don't know that they've had the same owner the whole time. I don't think that they have.
They probably sold. I need to look at that.
Go ahead.
I just don't like some of the moves that they've made as far as, more so at the quarterback position. That's been my biggest issue. You had the Byron Leftwich era, and now you had to, make these fans suffer through the Blake Bortles era. I mean, that's 8 years of pretty much waste.
But I mean, I don't know if anybody could have necessarily seen Blake Bortles being bad. He was really good at UCF.
But he played at UCF.
I know. I'm not. I wouldn't. I actually kind of wanted them to sign him as a backup in New England. I thought that would have been good.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think he's fine as a backup. Absolutely. They were talking about a guy that was drafted, top 5, top 10?
Yeah. No, I mean, he was like number 3, wasn't he?
3? Yeah, I think that was right.
I don't know. There's Brian Urlacher, dude. Yeah. Now that's a man.
Dude, he looks like he could hop down on the field tonight and play, man.
Yes, he's bigger than 3/4 of those guys on the field. Unbelievable. It's awesome. I don't know, man. I don't know if you really could have seen. I'd want to look at that quarterback class and see who else went. I don't remember what year that was. Let's look at that.
Yeah, I'll pull that up. You know what I find interesting is that, the Bears get this game basically because it's their 100th season. They have one Super Bowl. I understand they have, I think, 9 championships is what it said, but we're talking about one Super Bowl, and I believe the Super Bowl started in 1966. So we're talking about a 53-year window here.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man.
Not great.
It's not great, and you have kind of a hard time understanding why, honestly. But man, whenever, I always look back at the Lovie Smith era as being a time when we were really close, or whenever they were really close.
Yeah, I mean, they got to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman.
I can't believe they fired him. I still can't believe that. To hire Mark Trestman, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Might have been the worst hire I've seen. We really need to do that at some point this year. Is just rank some of the worst hires we've ever seen.
I need to do some solid research on that because there's just been so many. We have to. We're limited to one sport at a time, right? Like if we throw the NBA in here, it's like,
oh yeah,
you could give me the Knicks, the Suns, and the Grizzlies, and I have enough material right there for bad hires.
Plus Larry Brown.
Mighty.
No, I think I think the universal automatic one to go to is Tomasulo. Whenever they hired him for that 1 year after they fired Harbaugh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that 1 year.
No, dude. Well, they never intended to keep him. I don't think that they really
a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I don't. It was definitely a Band-Aid because they wanted Jay Gruden anyway. I don't think that there was a plan there when all that went down. I don't think that they really thought Harbaugh was going to leave. Even though they seem to be the only ones in the universe that thought that.
Right.
The writing was absolutely on the wall.
Yep. And I think they're set up for Harbaugh set up for a big year.
Dude, I agree. I like Michigan a lot. I really do.
Yeah, it's going to be – he needs to beat Ohio State this year, and we talked about it on the pod last night, but it is going to be a little bittersweet even if he does get his first win on Ohio State. I mean, dude, it's Michigan beating Ohio State. That's what it's all about. That's one of the probably 3 best rivalries in college football, but it's not going to be against Urban Meyer, so Urban Meyer will always have that leg up on him.
God, I hate Urban Meyer so much. He's just a slime ball, dude. Slime ball.
Why did he leave Florida again?
Because of all the recruiting violations and shit.
No, but what was
his excuse was his heart was given out or something.
Yeah, he's like, for his family and his health.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you've been raging on the sideline for years. What do you...
It was more for his safety because he didn't want to go to prison and just get hustled in there. But I mean, dude,
or murdered by Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, yeah, I've really come full circle here. Jeez. Yeah. He definitely was, I think, guilty of more recruiting violations than anybody. I actually don't. Dude, yeah. Guys like Nick Saban probably don't commit recruiting violations or John Calipari at this point because their programs just produce guys that get paid and guys want to get paid, so they just go there. Yeah, it's
John Calipari.
It's when Mississippi State when it goes 5-7. 5 or 6 years back, and it has the number 1 recruiting class ever, and it's like, all all right. Or no, it was Ole Miss. It was Ole Miss.
That was like the Treadwell year and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like, so all these kids from Chicago and LA want to go to Oxford, Mississippi to a 5-7 team. Right.
Got it. Yeah. So weird, man. That was really strange. I don't know, man. I think there's a fair amount of that still going on. I really do. I don't it's just the business that they're in, right? But someone like Nick Saban's got it 60 miles away from him, you know?
That's true. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Nick Saban also is kind of running a monopoly because the state of Alabama produces a lot of talented, college football players. So does the state of Texas, but the state of Texas has, there's 11 D1 schools, but I would say, 6 maybe legitimate D1 programs, where Alabama has only Auburn to compete with in the entire state as far as, perennial D1 programs. I mean, Texas has Texas A&M, TCU, Tech, Baylor. That's a lot of talent you kind of got to divide.
Do you think that Texas A&M made the right decision by going to the SEC?
Well, they have the number one revenue
in
the country. So we're looking at a business standpoint. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 100% from a business standpoint. They're the best conference. They're going to get more respect. They're generating more revenue. They have Kyle Field. Those donors put a lot of money into it too.
Definitely.
But, those big games against your Bamas, your LSUs, your Auburns, those just Floridas, they generate more money. I would say they did. From a football and a fan standpoint, it's tough. Going to the SEC West, I don't really see them winning that side of the conference until Saban leaves, maybe.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to look at it clearly just because of my bias towards it. But so first of all, from a business standpoint, it was absolutely the right move. And they were always going to be the redheaded stepchild to Texas.
Right. And you remember the reason they left the Big 12 primarily is because UT was getting their own network. And, people say, oh, well, just get your own network, compete with it. You have the money. But it's like, I get that. But I like their standpoint of like, no, fuck that. We don't need this. We're good enough to play in the best conference.
Right.
And I'm a Big 12 guy.
Right. And the
Longhorn recognize the SEC is the best conference.
Right. Well, and the Longhorn network has been poop, so it hasn't really mattered.
Yeah. It hasn't been great.
So they made the right call in that sense. So on all the business side, I agree, and I think even on the football side of things, they were always going to be the redhead stepchild to Texas. That's the best way to describe it. Even on the recruiting trail, at least now they have in their pocket to say, do you want to play in the SEC? Do you want to get to the NFL? Because they're putting more guys in the NFL than Texas is right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You're going to be on ESPN playing against Alabama.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
that's a good selling point. But as a fan, have you enjoyed it? It's good football and it's against the SEC, but don't you think they could be probably the second best team over the last, how long have they been in the SEC now? 6 years?
6 years now. I don't think they would be able to recruit though, like they are if they didn't play in the SEC. So, I think that plays a role in the success. And if you're still in the Big 12, I don't think you go out and get Jimbo Fisher. I don't think that's a big enough place for him.
I agree. I like that. Dude, first points on the board, 3-0, yep. Bears take a lead. I hated the play call, or maybe it wasn't the play call, it was the play on 3rd and 5 where Trubisky just dumps it off to the sideline, right at the line of scrimmage, which I just hate when you don't throw past the line of scrimmage, even though that's a cliche thing to say. It's been pretty conservative. Trubisky's pretty much showing, for this first quarter at least.
He's staying composed.
He's just a game manager to the fullest. He really is. He's not a guy that's going to sling it around.
But I don't know that you necessarily need a whole lot more than that.
No, not from this defense is giving up. It's taking 10 yards. Their total yards are like -10 for the Packers. But I also saw this graphic that I really like a lot that's new this year. I don't know if it's just proprietary to NBC or if the NFL is just going to have it on all of it. But when he kicked it, it showed how long the field goal was and where it was good from.
It's basically and it also showed the actual arc of it too, like shot tracker for golf, which I like. I like that.
I like that a lot. Absolutely.
I'm all for seeing as much analytical type data and stuff like that. I love StatCast in baseball. I actually, speaking of that, can we talk about the universal use of the term AI and how that's just kind of used for a catch-all now.
Everything.
It's really annoying because like StatCast presented by Amazon, web services or whatever it is on for the MLB, that is not AI. That's sonar technology that we've had for years. That's the same thing we've always had. So like I don't know why we keep calling it AI. AI, I mean, the definition technically is pretty versatile, but I mean to me that's something that learns.
Right. I mean, it's intelligence, right? So it's something that comprehends and learns. But yeah, I mean that phrase obviously gets thrown around too much, but it sounds sexy for the NFL to say that.
Yeah, it does. And
maybe it's NBC saying it.
Do you like the whole like the way they mark the field and everything with like 3rd and 5 with the darker shade of green? Because I really do, and people hate it.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't bother me at all.
I like it.
Yeah.
It just gives me.
I see what you're saying. Those 5 yards are like differentiated at a darker green. Yeah, I don't understand why that would cause an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the lines are already there, so I mean, what the hell's the difference, right?
Exactly, dude. So, Rodgers they finally complete a pass, and if you're sitting here with Devontae Adams or Rodgers or Aaron Jones on your starting lineup, you're probably not feeling great about what you're seeing.
No, probably
not.
This
is a hell of a defense, better defense than you're going to see most weeks, but. Rodgers finally completes one pass. Adams can't break a tackle, gets him to a manageable 3rd and 5, and then another incomplete pass, another forced pass, and Rodgers coming off the field shaking his head, poor body language already. Which
get Matt LaFleur out of there, man.
Yeah, right. Like, is it a Rodgers thing or is it a McCartney LaFleur thing? I don't know, but. The first down play, I don't know if you saw that. It made no sense. I mean, Rodgers just like sidearmed a terrible pass to Devontae Adams and like threw his hands up like, what's up, man? It's like, the fuck kind of pass was that?
Right? That was holding. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
It's handsy. This Aaron Rodgers thing is going to.
Dude, the mustache has to go, does it not?
Dude, it's terrible.
Are we're in agreement?
Dude, how is it that State Farm has managed to lure some of the most despicable people in sports, like him,
Chris Paul.
Dude, Harden's okay.
I don't hate James Harden.
Yeah, I don't mind Harden as much, but like,
I don't know.
And at one point, you had that whole Clippers team because you had DeAndre involved.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It was all weird, man. Blake was involved. I like Blake Griffin though, so.
Yeah, I like Blake a lot, and I actually think he has a couple more years left in him. I mean, the whole Clippers situation ended kind of shitty for him.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy they've resurrected themselves so quickly. Speaking of California things, dude, this AB thing. This guy doesn't want to play football, right?
I don't know. I mean, his actions are saying that. To me, it's more of a mental illness type of thing at this point. I mean, this guy is clearly out of his mind.
You're walking away from $30 million because you can't keep your mouth shut to your boss? What the fuck, man?
Yeah, so apparently he got into, nothing, no kind of physical altercation, but a verbal, or a yelling match, I guess, with Mike Mayock, the GM, and we read he punted a ball and told him fuck off, basically, or
something like that.
Find me for that too.
Yeah. So chronologically, he froze his own feet off.
Which we've talked about this. I don't know how that happens. I've done cryotherapy, and they are absolutely anal retentive about
the shoes,
you having your these specific kind of socks on.
Right.
And I've done it at 3 different locations, and
same thing.
How $1 million athlete would be treated differently than me makes absolutely no sense.
So there was that, and then there was the helmet thing. And so, like, you put all those together, both of those together. Well, the helmet thing was so ridiculous just in general. So basically, the NFL said he couldn't have the helmet that he had worn before because it was out of date from safety protocol that they have. And so he sat out of practice for like a week or 2.
Correct.
While they tried to find him a different helmet that works for his quote-unquote visibility.
And in which there are 31 different helmets.
31 different ones. And the worst part was whenever he tried to call out, I think it was specifically Aaron Rodgers for this, and was like, well, he doesn't wear it either. And the Raiders staff basically had to show him pictures and be like, yeah, he does. He does. Dude. So there was that. Okay, so like those things together aren't even really that like, the cryo thing could have happened. Like, who knows, whatever.
I mean, things happen. It's just
and the helmet
really
thing,
odd.
Right? The helmet thing for a receiver. I'm not saying it's right. I agree with it, anything like that, but maybe okay. But like that takes us to the end of preseason. I don't think that cat wanted to play in preseason games. I really don't.
And that's fine. I'm good with that. The way he handled that is ridiculous, but I'm fine with him not playing in preseason. But now it's escalated with today's shenanigans. You don't yell at a GM when you got $30 million guaranteed on the line if you really
and Mike Mayock of all people. Like, that's like the nicest dude in football.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about it a little bit so far on Perpetually Correct. We talk about it all the time and on the break. And something I'm passionate about is I like guys that like to play sports. Whatever their sport is. I like LeBron James. I like Russell Westbrook. I like guys that are passionate about their craft. And I always felt like AB was that guy. Maybe he was that guy when he was trying to, prove himself as a small kid coming out of was it Western Michigan, I think? Yeah.
Something like that.
And, this is just showing I'm with you now. I see how you got there. He doesn't want to play ball. I mean, that's just.
Yeah. Well, I think that I don't. And it's one thing when it's like, I don't want to play preseason. Like, dude, sure. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is like the Zeke thing's a great example. This deal got done weeks ago. That dude didn't want to play in preseason games because it's more of a risk. And I get that. Right. I don't blame him.
I think he wants to play football, though.
Oh, I agree with you. But I don't think he wants. I think he wants to make sure that he maintains his health throughout the season. Why would you ever go out there when? I mean, you're probably talking about playing in a half. You're probably talking about playing a full football game throughout the whole preseason.
Yeah, he get 2 to 4 carries a game.
Right, but I also get that 2 to 4 carries a game is a risk.
Yeah, it's 10 to 20 chances to blow your ACL.
I mean, what was that 2 or 3 years ago when Jordy Nelson blew his ACL out in the last preseason game? And
non-contact too.
Yeah, and it's like, why was this guy on the field?
Right.
It was so confusing, and I understand that part of it, and I get it, man. I do, but whenever you're sitting there staring down $30 million and you tell your boss to go fuck himself, I mean,
it's insane.
Dude, you tell me to go fuck myself for no money, and I'll tell you to get the hell out of my face.
I want to see somebody actually pick up a third down right here. We may be a little bit behind. We were trying to make sure ours were synced up. And incomplete pass, flag. Yeah, looks like week 1 right now.
Mercy.
Are you enjoying this throwback Chargers LT jersey?
It's pretty awesome, man. How long have you had that thing?
Dude, I've had this thing since probably 2002. I'm a big LT guy because obviously being born and raised in Fort Worth, being a TCU fan.
Oh yeah.
My dad grew up right down the street. LT was like the best thing that happened to TCU, and it kind of put them on the map for the first time ever because they won. I think they won a championship back in the 30s, and then they were just absolutely trash for basically, 30 to 50 years. And
how recent does a championship have to be for it to really quote unquote count in your mind? Pretty recent for me, man.
No, 50s, 60s.
Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't not to necessarily to count, but I guess where I'm okay, they've done it recently. You know what I mean? I guess
in my lifetime, I guess. Well, if you're saying I don't know, because you look at Florida State won a title in the late '90s, and they have fallen far from grace. I mean, even when they were, competing for a championship, or did they?
They won with Jimbo, right?
They won with Jameis, right? Yeah. So yeah. I mean, but look where they're at now. That's a fall from grace, really quick.
Yeah.
I guess they're still. You would consider Florida State like a premier school or no? Tier 2.
I mean, you know how I feel about Florida just in general, so that doesn't help anything. I mean, I would go Florida over Florida State any day.
I would too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I would go Miami over Florida State any day.
Man, that's tough because they had some really bad years there.
Yeah, but dude, the highs are high, the lows suck, but
it's just the U is so much cooler than Florida State to me is the problem. And I feel like I'm being swayed that way. That's insane that's how good that state is that they would be the third school because they're the number 1 school if they're in 45 other states.
That's so wild. It's so wild. Willie Taggart's the coach there now, right?
Yes.
He's in over his head, right?
Absolutely. He's just like, what's going on the sideline every time?
Did he come from Oregon?
Oh. I gotta pull that up. I don't think he was organic, was he?
No, wherever he was there a year before. I'll look it up right now.
Okay. Dude, I mean, this has been so wrapping up the first quarter here. It's been relatively sloppy play. I mean, I know the Bears have a great defense, and I think the Packers had a pretty. What up, Josh? Were you just hitting a little 135 overhead press before you hopped on?
What's up, man?
That was bicep curl for reps.
Yeah, single arms.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually was talking earlier about how both Marlon Mack and Roquan Davis, the linebackers for Chicago, look like they're basically just bodybuilders that are like, hey, I guess we should play football. We get paid a lot for this because these guys are freaking jacked.
You just got to be jacked to be in the NFL, right?
Yeah, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Hip mobility, nothing like that matters.
All right, Kyle, I'm going to run down this coaching resume real quick for you for Mr. Willie Taggart.
Okay. All right. This is the Florida State coach, Josh.
Right. So I'm just going to go head coach. I'm not going to worry about like QB and wide receivers coach and all that. He was the coach at Western Kentucky from 2010 to 2012. He went from there to Southern Florida. That was 13 to 16. So that was before Charlie Strong.
Okay.
And then in 17, he coached at Oregon and then got hired at Florida State from there.
Was he the head coach at Oregon?
Yeah.
That's a big job, though. But he absolutely looks
it wasn't good,
terrified,
he did really bad.
Terrified in every moment. And he just lost to Boise State, which, dude, when you're Florida State and you have access to that level of recruiting, you shouldn't be losing to Boise State in the first week. Josh,
that's sorry. I just stepped away.
Josh's deep analytics there.
No, I agree with you. And it was funny because whenever I Googled Willie Taggart, the very first thing that came up was that it says head coach Willie Taggart addresses his prior dehydration comments. So that's not good. Making excuses in week one. Never.
When his players were dehydrated?
I'm not really sure.
That's not possible.
I'll have to look more.
This is like that doesn't happen. It was like they ran out of water. They ran out of Gatorade. That's not how that. That's not how that works.
You know, somebody forgot to put it on the truck. You know, it'll happen.
Dude, I can't believe they lost to Boise State at home, and they had that game won.
Dude, is that more shocking than the Tennessee loss? That Tennessee loss was bad.
Tennessee's been in the dumps for a while.
But they had Greg Schiano hired, and these fools ran him out of town for no reason because they said he was connected to the Penn State thing, which he was not. Like I don't.
Tennessee's like that guy that makes like $12 an hour, but has, you know, a Porsche, a 2002 Porsche. Like they think they're way better than they are.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
yeah.
Tennessee's been bad since Peyton Manning left there. Josh, we did.
You know who put him in the dirt, right?
Lane?
No, my boy Baker Mayfield and Sterling Shepard.
We did a lot of college football talk yesterday. You would have, I know that's a little bit more of your forte. You would have really enjoyed it. We basically just praised Jalen for 5 minutes, and me and Justin both put him in the CFP. Jason did not have him in the CFP, but
strength of schedule.
No, he's not a total Big 12 hater. You'd have to listen to his crazy ass logic of what was going to happen. I don't know. I put Utah in there just because I took Alabama. Well, I took Alabama out of spite because I'm tired of Nick Saban.
It's fair. Most of my picks that I get wrong are out of rage.
Yeah, I love a good spite pick.
Yeah, Josh always goes against Golden State, Alabama, like basically the worst teams to go against.
It was so funny because earlier in the season, it was before the playoffs started, right at the beginning of the playoffs, the NBA playoffs. Like Josh and I had this gigantic argument about what Kevin Durant was going to do, and like Josh, by logic, was 100% correct. Like 100% correct as far as logic goes.
Drop pick.
Wow, I can't believe you dropped that. He was 100% correct, but I was like, that's just not what's going to happen, and I don't know why, but it's just that's not what's going to happen, and it's not. And it was just. Like it was super logical, and I was like, I can't believe you're wrong, but you are, and I hate that you are because it's stupid.
That's the hardest thing about sports is I could have the most well-reasoned, thought-out argument, and it'll be just 100% wrong because they're all idiots. Because everybody in every major league is an idiot, right?
It's so true, dude. And I was thinking about that yesterday, though, because it was the whole argument was over maxing out Kevin Durant and like whether they would actually do that or not. I honestly think they knew he was going to leave, and they just decided to offer him the max just to be able to say they did.
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, you're right in that it's hard to say. Thanks for winning us a couple championships. Go ahead and walk out the door. You know, you have to max them. But it was like I was doing the math, and it was like they're going to pay more in salary cap this year than the Knicks have paid in the history of the league, and that's the most that anybody's ever paid. You know, so
yeah,
it's
no, again, thought out logic that makes a lot of sense. It just didn't fall that way. I mean, it didn't end up mattering ultimately, but it never does.
You were really on him not going to the Knicks. more so than anybody
Dude,
I knew.
I never thought
Justin
that was true.
I was pretty confident they were good. I was like 90% sure he was going there. I think, Josh, you were pretty
too.
50 at least.
Yeah, dude, I never thought that.
That was a great call. There's no way I thought he was going to New York, but not the Knicks, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I could have seen, potentially re-signing there, or Clippers, Lakers. I don't know. I just didn't see him going to the Nets. I didn't see that on the – I mean, it wasn't one of the top 3 or 4 choices all season.
He didn't even meet with them.
There have been so many I think every year I go, who are the historic big names that are front runners for free agents? Like Knicks, Lakers, Celtics. Those are historic big names. Miami, maybe you could throw them in there just because of location.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's changing. It all depends on who has cap whenever everybody hits, and who all the superstars get together and decide they're going to go towards,
I think you could even throw the Bulls in that mix for a while there. And I mean, now guys are – it would have been inconceivable for people to do that, try to form a super team at the Clippers a decade ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Nobody wanted to play there.
Like LeBron
the Lakers' little brothers.
LeBron did choose – right? He did leave a small-ass market, even though he's from there in Cleveland, and he's lived in Miami and L.A. Like, those are pretty solid choices. And the Heat and the Lakers.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. We got
our
first big play. Let's go. Who's that, Geronimo Allison?
Yep.
Or
no, that was
Valdez Scantling.
Yeah, Scantling. Yeah.
MVS, dude. That guy's 6'5". That's a big boy. He's got to work on his route running. I mean, that wasn't much of a route. He didn't come off that very well.
And Rodgers put that behind him. He had to slow up.
Yep. Kind of
a little bit, but I mean, Rodgers been under duress all night. That was a bomb.
Dude, Rodgers put a lot in to make a pretty
not that far of a throw. I was just thinking that, like, he just came off both feet. That means you put everything you had into throwing it about 48 yards.
Fucking missile.
What did you guys think of his? I don't know if you've talked about this already. What did you guys think of all the stuff that went down with him in the preseason? With him not playing a snap, and then him coming under heat for it, and him going back and saying it doesn't matter.
Well, it mattered in the first 3 possessions because they had about minus 10 yards. That could be because of the Chicago defense. Yeah, dude, that was 45 to 50 yards. He struggled. Chicago's defense is really good. We were talking about that earlier, and it's caused some issues. But I mean, this is showing that. Yeah, I mean, you got to play a few snaps in the preseason to be fresh. It's going to take a while to get the. I mean, you got freaking Khalil Mack coming barreling down on you, and this guy's in a hell of a lot better shape than you, and he's actually played a few snaps.
Right.
I have more of an issue with him already having.
Where you guys at right now? I might be a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah, I think you are. Sorry. We actually synced up with one another. I was a little ahead of Justin, so I synced up. My clock is at 13:10. Yep. Oh, TD. There we go.
Okay, yeah. That's what I just saw.
Jimmy Graham, and so everyone was saying how bad he looked in the preseason and basically saying this is the end for him. And he's a 6'8" guy, so it's gonna end eventually.
It'll depend on health with him.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. 6'8" for football is not ideal, but I mean, for tight end, it's great. But
he's 6'8".
He's 6'8", dude. He played power forward at Miami.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like a 6'8", 260. But I mean, Aaron pretty much just put that up for grabs and said, "All right, 6'8" versus 6 foot. I feel good that it's incompletion or touchdown." But what I was getting at is everyone, all these experts were saying how bad he looked, and a lot of these fantasy experts thought he was going to have a terrible year, and he was talking a lot of trash, saying he was going to be back to his old form. And I mean, that wasn't a beautiful play, but that was a hell of a snag. Yeah, Graham.
Did you see the throw by Rodgers? Did you see the replay where they started behind him?
It was ugly looking from behind.
Yeah.
It was ugly looking, but it hit it on the money, and it was a zip, and it was like it wasn't by his ear where you get your power. It was like out, and
he just
it was just
threw it out there with a little touch and said, "Look, that's a confidence throw. That's you're 6'8" versus 6 foot. You go get it. You box him out like you're getting a rebound, and you're either going to catch this or knock it down."
And that looked a lot more like arm strength than his last throw did.
Yeah, that was essentially, if you go back and look at that was a basketball play. It just wasn't occurring as high as a rebound would, but that's really what that was. I'm really surprised that Rodgers going back to what he was saying. I was really surprised that Rodgers handled the situation the way he did, where he's already making public comments about the new coach. I mean, it's like
that's shitty, man.
if you have an issue, that's fine. I understand you're a great talent, and you may not like how the play calling's being done, but you don't do that publicly. I mean, you already did that with Mike McCarthy. So I mean, to me, I don't understand why you do it publicly. But
I'm with you, dude.
Inevitable in this era. It's kind of inevitable for it to be public, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that this is not a situation that's between Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur as much as it is the CEO of the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, because how shitty is it that you don't consider Aaron Rodgers when you're making a coaching hire? Like, that's saying, we talk about this on the break all the time about, like, just shut up and play ball. Like, that's not how this works when you're Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like, you're the guy. Like, you're the veteran here. You should have some input in who's hired. And when you don't, this is where these things lead.
Yeah, I mean,
Hall of Famers should always have input on who's hired.
Yeah.
Right. And your highest paid player.
Yeah.
Usually consult them.
It's
regardless of the sport.
Josh, did you happen to see that they are teaching a class at Rice University? They partnered with the Texans about how to functionally run a team, like a sports team. Well, yeah, except for the fact that the Texans don't know how to do that. So that's
I don't know why the Texans are coaching this. This should be offered at Boston College or UMass by the Patriots or UTSA by the Spurs.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Here's what you're going to do. Draft 2 all-time defensive ends and then trade one away for nothing.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is just slap them in the head and just continually say, don't be stupid for 6 weeks and give them a diploma, because that's all it really takes. Don't do stupid shit.
The thing with that Clowney trade, though, Josh, is they gave him all the leverage. They should have really probably paid him last year, worked out an extension last year, at least during the season, because they didn't want to do a long-term deal this year. They were going to franchise tag him, which means you get the average of the top 5 at your position, which is like 19 or 20 million for DNs. Pass rushers are paid well. And,
is it just the average?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the average of top 5. So a franchise tag is bad for a player like that.
You're getting paid high, but it's only for a year. And teams can do it 2 years in a row, max. They
can do it more than that, but it escalates big time, right?
No,
I thought it was they can do it like as many times as they want, but it escalates exponentially to a point where it's like you might as well just work out a long-term deal.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that's the case. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just a 2-year deal. But so what was going to happen, Josh, is they were going to have to pay him 19 or 20 million, which is a lot to pay a guy, and they didn't want to pay him that, and they knew he was going to walk next year when he was a free agent because some other dumbass team would pay him a lot.
Right.
They were like, let us get a pick out of it at least. I like them bringing in Laramie Tunsil, which is an all-pro caliber offensive lineman from Miami, but they gave up a hell of a lot of picks for it. So, yeah, the fact that they're teaching that class, there's other organizations like, Patriots, Steelers, even probably the Packers that are just more consistent top down and know what they're doing.
Dude, the NFL always blows my mind in the trades that are made because they'll trade away this all-pro player for a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
Just third round pick. Yeah. And I'm like,
it's not basketball, man, where the picks are, first round picks in the NFL are really a big deal. So I saw a stat the other day. I need to see if I can still pull it up of how rosters are constructed, like what percentage players were drafted in. And, actually undrafted free agents made up the highest percentage. It was like 28% of rosters are made up of those guys, but
of undrafted free agents?
Yeah, because there's only 7 rounds. You got 53 guys on a roster. You're going to have a lot of undrafted free agents that are on those, they're second or third in their position.
Okay.
So just mathematically, you're going to have most of those. But when you looked at the actual rounds with players that were drafted, the drop from first to second was enormous. It was like 19 or 20, maybe even 21% of rosters, and then it was 11 and 11 for the second and third. So second and third are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But to be, twice as much of rosters are made up of first rounders, and the odds of, going to a Pro Bowl from first to second round are pretty enormous. So
that's what I was about to ask is
it's huge. It's way bigger than you would expect. I think it's like 4 times as likely if you're drafted in the first round or the second round to go to the Pro Bowl. But the second and third round is like the same odds.
Huh.
Because there's historically actually been a lot of really good third rounders, but
because
you don't see first rounders traded in football.
You really don't.
Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, and you see a lot of things like Bill Belichick's notorious for just wheeling and dealing picks. I mean, I think they had like 12 picks in this last draft or something like that. I mean, just absolutely insane. And just like, and those were just like awarded picks. I think they picked up like 6 more or something like that.
They know how the math works. One, they scout talent almost better than anybody because they scout it for their system, not what did this guy do at his college in this system. They scout his skills and his ability for their system. That's one. But two, they just understand the math of it. If we have 12 picks, 6 of these guys are going to be starters in the NFL.
Correct.
And that's how that works. And that's Houston's problem is they're going to have 3 picks in next year's draft. It seems like the Patriots are going to have 11.
Ooh, good punt.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, dude, 7-3 is still a little bit lower. I figured we'd have a pretty low-scoring game and guys would be kind of working out some kinks. But 7-3, 4 minutes into the second, still less scoring than I thought we'd have.
This is like a final score of an SEC game.
Dude, we need to bring you on Perpetually Correct to do a little bit of college football talk. Did you like what you saw at OU this year?
Dude, in the first half, I loved the defense. The defense looked fantastic. And we were like Grinch has switched for most of the first half. We played a 4-down lineman.
Yep.
Which I'm a big fan of because, like, dude, you don't have we've been at a 3-down lineman at OU since Gerald McCoy, who is obviously an all pro player at the next level, first round pick. I think he was like number 3 or something like that. We had 3 of the top 5 between him, Sam Bradford, and Trent Williams that year. Gerald McCoy, Jeremy Beal, who was a 4th round pick, I think, and then Adrian Taylor, who was a lock for a top 3 round pick, but he broke his leg.
Also a star on your intramural basketball team.
Also a star on my intramural basketball team. So was Jeremy. Shout out to those guys for carrying me.
Is that when you realize that these OU football players are true freaks when 300-pound dudes just start windmilling?
Dude, he weighed 300 pounds, was 6'6", and had a 36-inch vert. We would throw him lobs, and he would go up with 4 little white guys hanging on his arms and just jam on all of them, dude. It was almost unfair.
You got to make a business move. I'm getting out of there. I'm not ending up on Snapchat with
dude,
Adrian Taylor just his nuts hit me in the face because I can't get up that high.
It was bad, dude. That was before Snapchat. Yeah, dude, he was nuts. Him and Jeremy both. And the crazy thing was that this 6'6", 300-pound dude that had a 36-inch vertical wasn't the best player on that defensive line. You know, it was McCoy. He was the defensive end that was drafted top 3 overall. But we've been playing 3-down linemen ever since those guys, and I feel like we've been just thinking we succeeded with 3-down linemen before. We can get press rush before, but we've never been able to do it. And Stoops kind of switched us to this 3-down lineman. One lineman was pseudo down, almost like a linebacker that was on the line of scrimmage, and then he dropped back.
Like a Khalil Mack type player.
Yeah, but none of them are as dynamic as him.
Well,
so even we had Eric Stryker, who was dynamic, but he couldn't control a defense. Yeah, and then Charles Tapper before that, Grissom as well. And you always had these like kind of standout defensive linemen that were making all these tackles, getting in the backfield all the time. But really, they were the only people that were really doing anything, right? Our DBs couldn't stay in front of receivers long enough to allow our linemen to get pressure. And in conjunction with that, our linemen couldn't get up the field fast enough to not make the DBs jam people. So I'm a big fan of the fact that we went to a 4-down lineman, just get some more pressure on the quarterback. And he even in the second half kind of switched to 3-down lineman and trying to drop more people back. So I like the multi-look, honestly. Right. If you're a good enough coach and you can discipline your players enough to get them at least somewhat good at a multi-look and not just confused all the time, then I think that's really beneficial, especially in college.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, giving up 31 to Houston isn't the end of the world either because, I mean, Houston's probably as good as a mid-level Big 12 team as far as offense, at least. I think they're pretty weak, but you got to love what you saw out of Jalen. I think, you know, you guys are really poised to, go 13-0. I mean, the only challenge, the Red River shootout will always be a tough game. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe a TCU or Iowa State could be a little bit challenging. You guys just dominate Oklahoma State. I mean, those are really the only 3 games I see. I don't know what your out of conference schedule is outside of Houston, but
Yeah, we got UCLA on.
Not a problem. Chip
No
Kelly
problem.
coaches that team.
Yeah. That was going to look nice whenever we first scheduled it, like 7 or 8 years ago.
Right.
But now it's not so great.
Kyle, you want to talk about bad hires? Chip Kelly might have been one of the worst hires I've seen by the
so
years. That was so bad.
Favorite tweet I've seen recently: Chip Kelly, 11-33 since his one decent year at Philly, where Michael Vick went nuts. So that was his next year at Philly, year at 49ers, and then another year. UCLA is 11-33 and has made $31 million for
pretty good. Pretty good.
It's a little bit more than a mill loss.
Yeah. It's like his agent. Like, how is he fleecing these people? How is he? Who did they lose? Who did UCLA lose to? They lost like 17-7 this week, and I was just like, this is so ridiculous.
They had some bad losses last year too.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, that's another probably 4-8 or 5-7 type of season.
Lost to Cincy
17-7.
Dude, I'm pretty positive that Houston could roll out and beat UCLA 8 times out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Oh,
10 out of 10?
Yeah.
That team probably has the most dynamic offense in not named a Power 5. I can't think of one.
I think Memphis is probably out there, but they lost 2 running backs to the NFL this year. A lot of those AAC, I actually made this point on the pod last night. I think the AAC is almost as good as the ACC. Take Clemson out of there, and it's like level playing field.
Yeah.
You have Memphis, Houston, UCF. Who else is good there? Cincy.
Oh, that's got to be a penalty, right? There's no way that line was set.
Missed it.
Wow.
Don't call that. I got Devontae going, so I'm trying to see him get going. But
Let me sync up with you guys.
We're at
What's
8.
your
I got
timer?
8-12. 8-12. They're showing a replay.
All right, let me know when they're looking at Rogers at 7:28.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, you were quite a bit ahead of us.
So, what's your strongest conference? Both of you guys this year.
The SEC.
I mean, in football, in college football.
Yeah, still going SEC?
Yeah. The bigger question would be who's the second best conference, and to me, it's between the Big 10 and Big 12.
I would say Big 10.
Well, to me, it depends if you look at depth or if you look at top 3 or 4, because I kind of like looking at both of those, because I think if you look at the top 3 schools, I would actually tend to lean towards the Big 10. I really like Michigan and Ohio State, and throw Wisconsin or Penn State or whatever team you want in there. There's some really, really bad teams in the Big 10, and there's only really one bad team in the Big 12 in Kansas. Big 12 always gets 7 out of 10 teams in there, so they're getting 70% of their conference, which in a 14-team conference, you need to get about 10 teams in. And the Big 12 outperforms the Big 10 pretty much every year the last 5 years in the bowl games. They always go 500 or better in the bowl games, and that's why
people are used to the pace.
The Big 12's offenses are a problem, and the defenses aren't great. There's not a lot of NFL players on there, but the schemes and these giant offensive linemen in the Big 12 protecting, it's an issue, and it shows in the bowl games because Big 12 usually beats the crap out of everyone except the SEC.
Yeah, and it's hard to do well defensively. Like, I get that there's not generally as many people drafted out of the Big 12 as the SEC defense, but it's hard to roll out every single week against an NFL style or an NFL throw it around quarterback, like it's hard to defend that every single week.
And I'm look at these elite SEC defenses. Like Oklahoma and the CFP has hung 40 and 50 on Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And Texas hung 30 something on Georgia last.
They beat the dog out of Georgia last year.
So I mean, the Big 12 offenses are the best in the country. It's just their defenses are an issue. I think the Big 12 is the second best conference, but it's really close. I said third earlier, but the more I think about it, there's too many, Illinois and I know Indiana's supposed to be better this year, but there's just too many teams like that at the bottom of the Big 12. I mean, Rutgers is absolutely terrible. Maryland is terrible. I think top to bottom, I like the Big 12 more. And I could almost make that argument against the SEC, but I got a lot of SEC friends that may be watching this.
Dude, that's the toughest thing.
That's not an argument, dude. The SEC's hands down better.
It's like saying that Jordan's not the best basketball player of all time. If you say, you can't, like, whenever you say it, people start questioning your credibility. But here's the deal.
The bottom of the SEC sucks.
And also, like Alabama, I think that Alabama just carries the SEC into their promised land, because like
Georgia, LSU, and Auburn have all been legit the last 8 years.
Somewhat, I think Auburn's perennially overrated.
I do too.
Auburn's perennially in the top 6, and then they get 3 losses dropped on them every year.
Yep.
What was Jeremy Johnson was supposed to be the second coming of Cam Newton, never did anything, and they ranked Auburn in the top 6 every single year that he was there.
What the Big 12 needs is TCU to get back to top 10 form, and a team like in Oklahoma State or Iowa State to stay a little more consistent in that second tier level.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in like the college football playoff goes where the money is. The problem with TCU and Baylor, those second tiers, is they're never going to go there unless they go undefeated.
Yeah,
they don't have the fan base, they don't have the money. The only 2 teams that have a chance,
TCU's got going.
Money. Yeah, they don't make as much money.
Fan base, right?
They don't make as much
generate
money.
as much revenue.
Yeah. The only 2 teams from the Big 12 that could ever go to the CFP with 1 loss would be Oklahoma and Texas. Those are the only 2.
Sure.
Yeah, because they're the only ones that have national merit.
I
right?
felt like Oklahoma State was like almost there, and then they took a step back.
Dude, they were. Have you ever looked at OU versus Oklahoma State's record historically?
No, but you've made me aware of it, so I feel like I know it exactly. It's like 80-17 or something.
Dude,
like that.
It's horrible, man. Yeah. Let me look it up because it's bad. Let's see. It is, jeez, dude, that's a lot of Crimson. 88-18.
88-18. Wow.
Yeah. So Oklahoma State.
That's rough.
That's not a rivalry.
Yeah.
That's like, I wonder if Alabama versus Vanderbilt has a better record than that.
Dude, I'm really excited though to see this LSU Texas game. We talked about it on the pod last night, Josh. There's a lot of buzz down here in Austin for it. What are your thoughts there? I mean, do you see LSU just going in there and beating the brakes off of them? It's kind of going towards what we just talked about with these 2 conferences.
Dude, Ellinger scares me.
Really?
If we're going to be honest.
Why? Because his legs look like he can squat 1,000 pounds?
He looks like he was making some throws that he didn't make last year and last week. And honestly, yeah, he's going to be hard for anytime that you have to spot the quarterback. That's a big deal, because then you get that linebacker in the middle there that's not watching behind him, and you can just throw dump off passes the whole day, right? So that's a big deal. He's making throws that he wasn't making last year. His kid wants to win. He's a gamer,
Why does he look 12 years old?
That's a great question.
I can't comment
like
on that on national TV. I'm going to have to hold off on that one.
Dude, Trubisky actually just made a really nice throw to Robinson. I know we're probably a few minutes behind some of the viewers there, but Trubisky's made a couple of decent little throws here in the second quarter.
Nice little shovel.
Yeah, I like that. That's how you're going to put him in a successful position, because then it'll open it up a little bit, because that's essentially like a run, and now he can sling it around. But that receiving core in Chicago it's not like they're doing him a whole lot of favors. I mean, Allen Robinson's certainly a low end number 1 post injury, and then you got that kid Anthony Miller in his second year. I forgot who their third guy was. I mean, they got decent receivers, but it's like you're not putting great receivers around young quarterbacks, and that is important. Like, look what happened to Dak when he got Amari last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I don't know why they seem to think that they were just going to not fill the Dez hole and it would be fine, but
Right.
They just. Do
you feel like paying Amari? Because I know you were pretty adamant that Zeke deal wasn't overpaid. Do you think paying Amari is a good idea?
I don't think. No, I don't. I don't know.
I like Amari though.
I do too. I see the
touchdown
logic
machine,
in
man.
I see the logic in that more than Zeke. The whole Zeke thing goes back to the fact that they never should have taken a running back with the 4th overall pick. I understand why, but you should never do that, no matter who you are.
I 100% agree with that philosophy, except unless his name's Ezekiel Elliott or
Dude,
Saquon.
but that doesn't.
Because you could have had I would have loved to have Joey Bosa, but he can't stay on the field.
My point is, if you continue to play that game, it's always except for this, or except for this guy, or except for this guy. It can't be any exceptions.
It's not
period.
always that though. Okay,
yes,
I mean, if you want to do it with no exceptions, that's fine. Then I don't agree with that if we're saying no exceptions because. I mean,
look at what you just had to do. You had to pay a running back $100 million. I realize you think that's a great idea. It's not, though. Like, it's just not. And you're going to regret that.
I could argue he's as much of a difference maker as Jalen Ramsey is, though. And that's who they would have taken. And I love that pick. And I think he's top 3 corner in the league. And he went 1 pick after Zeke. That's why I say that. It was going to be Bosa, Zeke, or Ramsey, which really you couldn't miss on because that's a pretty unbelievable top of the draft class, but
I don't know why any team would take a running back. I'm not picking on the
Zeke
Cowboys.
Is the most impact running back we've seen in the NFL since AP.
But dude, you act like this guy walks on fucking water. Like he has acted.
I think he has the chance to be the greatest running back ever, though. I mean, I don't think that's out of the question.
Dude, that's a stretch from what we've seen. I mean,
so he has the most yards in the NFL in the last 3 seasons, and he's missed 8 or 10 games. He has the most yards per game for a career with over 30 games, tied with Jim Brown at over 100 a game. I mean, he's on pace. And like I said yesterday, the way that man is built, I don't think he's going to be done until he's 30.
You won't convince me, though. I mean, look back at that Denver game last year when he had 45 yards the whole game and sat there and pouted like a baby bitch. Like,
I mean, Scott Linehan was calling our plays, dude, so I'm not holding any of that
against him. It's always something like that, though, dude. Like, my point is, though, that you wouldn't see Jim Brown acting like that, and that's, like, you wouldn't see LeBron doing some shit like that. You would never see that. Not in a million years.
Oh, was that a pick? Oh, my God.
Was that a pick? Oh, it's just
somebody just actually intercepted. I mean, it's still – wow, Savage. That
was great defense there.
Savage is a great last name for sports.
Yeah, it is, dude, no matter what sport you play.
Yeah, that's where Trubisky needs to improve because he's reading the safety is that he's going to come in. Oh my God, that's not a smart throw. I think that Savage kid might be a rookie, so that that's probably a pick in week 2 if Trubisky keeps making throws like that. Robinson needs to come back to the ball a little bit more though. Get his hands out there. I didn't understand why they paid him. And that's why maybe that's another reason I don't have an issue with them paying Amari is I'm seeing some of the other deals these wide receivers are getting. And Amari's not going to be on, some Antonio Brown level of bullshit.
Well, you are. Josh, what's your take on that? I mean, what do you think the Cowboys did the right thing here?
Did you see what happened today, Josh, before you answer that?
With what?
Him basically telling Mike Mayock to F off and punting the ball and telling him, go find me. And just basically raging on the GM of the Raiders.
Oh, Amari?
No, Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown. That's what I meant. I did not, or I saw rumblings of that. Dude, honestly, my head's in this programming right now. But sorry.
No worries.
Talk to me about. We're talking about Ezekiel Elliott, or are we talking about Antonio Brown?
Well, so we tangented for a second to Antonio Brown with the whole thing on kind of what Kyle was saying about how he gave the middle finger to his boss and basically is going to end up getting his contract voided because
on the field.
I feel like I can speak to Zeke more.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
So, dude, honestly, I agree 100% with both of you. Like, which is weird because you guys have opposite sides. But here's the deal.
Sounds like a cop out.
Right. He does have a chance to be one of the greatest of all time. I don't know if I was ready to say the greatest running back of all time. And when you said, which I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
I don't have a problem with that. When you say he was the most impactful running back on the field since Adrian Peterson, I start to go, yeah, that actually makes sense. But it's still a shock. However, this isn't like a quarterback where you're going, I'm going to pay him the most that I've ever paid anybody. And there's a really good chance that he's never going to get a career injury. This is a running back that's hitting people every single down and is smaller than the people that they're hitting. So my fear is, are you willing to pay this guy the biggest contract ever and know that he's probably at a position that has the best chance of getting hurt on the field?
Yeah.
That's my concern.
It sounds crazy saying yes to that question, but
I would never.
Cowboys are in a position, and I think Justin's pretty high on the Cowboys too. They're in a position to compete for a Super Bowl this year with this roster.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they have a really good roster on paper.
You said they're going to win 9 to 11 games. That's going to get them at least, if they win 11 games, that's a couple of home playoff games probably.
Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl and going to win it. Mark my words. Just joking. Just kidding. Do you think that? So you think that it's worth the risk paying this guy the most of all time? Do you think that they could have signed him for less than that?
No.
And retained him?
No.
For the most of all time?
Yeah, I think he would have told them that go after themselves. But what are you going to do? Hold out 2 years?
Who do you think's the winner here, Jerry or Zeke?
Zeke. He got $50 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Dude, my thing is about this, Josh. We talked about this on PC yesterday. Where I come from, you sign a contract, you honor that contract. Like, there's none of this holdout for when you've got 2 more years left on your deal. If I put my name on paper, I commit to that. Period.
I don't understand how that's not like a legal matter.
Agreed.
I don't understand how these guys aren't getting sued.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're not getting paid. You get paid zero if you don't show up or report.
Right. But my biggest problem with this at the end of the day is the fact that, well, 2 things about this. One, the Cowboys turned it into a goddamn circus, which Kyle and Jason were so nice to point out to me that it's always a goddamn circus, which is a good point.
Yeah, it's pretty par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised by that. But I just think if you were going to do this deal, you should have done it a month ago and get it done, and then let the headlines be that your team killed it in camp, versus sitting here putting on this whole dog and pony show. Like, we talked about this right before you got here. Like, that contract had been done for weeks.
Wow.
Oh my God.
No.
Who's that?
Devontae.
Yeah, we're good though.
Okay.
That contract's been done for weeks, and they just turned it into a whole dog and pony show. And like, I don't understand why. Like, what Jerry values the business side of things more than the football side of things. I think he likes to win, but I think he likes to win in the boardroom more than anything else.
Yeah, I think that dude likes to be the center of attention.
Yeah, and so like,
absolutely. That's what I was saying yesterday. He loves it.
And that's fine, but like, whenever, like, the whole T-shirt thing, Kyle, I'm sure you saw this today. Whenever, a couple weeks ago when they asked Jerry about it, and he was like, "Oh, Zeke who?" And then they handed him a T-shirt at the presser today that said, "That's who." And it's like, this is a PR move. And the problem with that is that you sacrifice your locker room and your team chemistry for a few cheap views and for people to be talking about the fucking Cowboys. And it's like, just let the talent do the work, because the talent's there. And it's just insane. And it's, dude, Kyle, I understand what you're saying. Like, on paper, they have the best roster, like one of the best rosters in football. And there's no faith in me whatsoever. I'm as sure about this as I am the Knicks that they will be successful in this venture, because they will not. Something will happen.
I'd rather them have done this and let Dak walk than to give Dak 30.
God, that's crazy.
Not even
dude.
40.
You talked yourself out of Dak.
So much higher on Dak. I don't like Dak, bro.
Dak has some real holes in his game. Like, he can't throw the long ball, and you need that. You got to be able to stretch the field vertically.
That's true. I think, Kyle, I think that you continually minimize Dak more and more and more since we've been talking about it, honestly.
You can find a better quarterback in the draft.
Who are you going to go out and get right now, though? Who's better than Dak right now that you could that's
coming into the league this coming year, or are you talking about a free agent?
Free agent,
Case Keenum's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Dude, bullshit.
1 more playoff games.
Dude, that's bullshit. No way. You will not convince me that Case Keenum is better than them. No way.
I've watched every single game of Dak's career.
I watched most of it at Mississippi State, and I'm not saying he's gonna be fucking Tom Brady.
But the kid's a winner. Dak is a winner. There's no doubt about that.
Dude, that guy's got heart more than anything else, and you should want a leader like him. At the very minimum,
he does do everything the right way.
I agree with that for sure.
Person a lot.
I agree with that,
and I hope he gets his money, just not from my team.
Yeah.
If you would just take his value of like 18 to 22, the fact that he turned the 30 down made me think a little bit less of him. I guess I got to be supportive of anybody getting their money, but he's not worth $40 million. Can you at least agree to that?
No, probably not. But I'll tell you one thing.
The highest paid player in the NFL. That's just insane.
I'll tell you one thing though. You better jump on his train, because they're not letting him go. Like, that's not going to happen. They're not going to let him go.
No, they're not. Yeah.
And I'm
on his train while he's getting paid $780,000.
Sure, but I understand what you're saying. Did they just take a delay a game for no reason? Yeah, they did.
How likely is a quarterback to develop a deep ball?
Very unlikely. You got to have that arm strength.
Is it like?
I think
it's unlikely, but
He does have arm strength. I think his problem is just accuracy on
it's more mechanics in his footwork. But he's working with Kellen Moore, which we'll see how that goes. But we got a new play caller this year, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and try to erase
Kellen Moore, right?
Yes, and Scott Linehan's out of there, so Kellen Moore is going to be calling the shots. I think he's OC, but he's also kind of like quarterback coach as well because he played the position. It's like give him the benefit of the doubt though and erase my mind. Basically, like you just flashed me with a thing from Men in Black. I didn't just see Dak make 150 terrible throws over the last few seasons. I'm going to just go into this with a total open mind. But if he's still struggling, mechanically this year, then I just don't see how you pay him 30.
Yeah. Like, I know that if somebody has poor mechanics on their jump shot and they shoot 60% from the line, it's going to be a good 5 years before you can even think of calling that guy an outside threat. Right? Like, what can you generally look at with NFL quarterbacks that
it's
have a long looping release or something,
Right. Well, like Tebow is like an example of like you can't fix that for the NFL level. I mean, the thing with Dak, though, is he ran a lot in college. I mean, he did get Mississippi State ranked to number 1 in the country, which obviously that means you're a freaking winner.
Means you're in the SEC. And you won a couple games. And they're like, they're the best team in the nation. They're in the SEC and they won.
Wait, I've never even heard of this school.
Here, but, God, now I just completely lost my train of thought because I'm just thinking about SEC bias.
Talking about Dak running a lot in college.
Yeah, so
Justin, I completely forgot that you went to Texas A&M.
Yeah,
and you were on the SEC is the best place in the country. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but I would have said that no matter what. That doesn't really change.
I miss you guys in the Big 12. You guys need to come back.
Yeah, I'm good.
We already talked about that today, though. It probably was the right move for them.
It definitely was, but it just felt so right when you were in the Big 12. You're in Texas.
I get it, but the recruiting edge in the SEC is a billion times better.
I hate you guys.
So, Josh, here's a good thing to look at to try to go back to your, how to draw comparisons from basketball. So, when you have like an athletic guard or wing and like you can see they have a decent jump shot, but maybe their percentages aren't that well. They're just not hitting, but their free throw percentage is good. That's usually an indicator like this guy could be, if he's shooting 75.
Like Lonzo?
Not like Lonzo. But
he shot like 85% from the free throw line in college. But go ahead.
No way, did he?
I think it was pretty high because he has had some bad free throw percentages.
You're gonna have to pull that up.
I'm doing it.
I'm gonna call 60, but
real quick, Josh, did you send us the thing this week that was Lonzo comparing LA to Lithuania?
No.
I'll find it. It was a Reddit thing. Hold on, let me find it. You keep on going, Kyle.
Okay.
But Dak had a low completion percentage in college is what I'm trying to get to. So usually for college basketball players, you can look at their free throw percentage and use that as a pretty good determination of what type of shooter they're going to be at the next level. With their completion percentage in college, granted SEC corners and safeties, bettered defensive players in general in the SEC, but 62.8% completion percentage in college, not sexy, not terrible, but those were on a lot of short passes because they ran a spread offense.
They were very West Coast, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically 4 or 5 wide receiver sets where he was either running it, doing a run pass option, or doing basically a check down or a screen. So not a lot of deep balls being thrown there. That's probably part of it. And in high school, that guy didn't have to fucking throw the ball. He was just running over DNs,
Yeah, dude, amen to that.
I mean, I've never met him or anything, but I've seen the guy relatively close in person. He's a big guy.
You can tell when a quarterback's bigger than the average quarterback.
Like his button down neck size is like 19 and a half.
All right. Name this player. 14% points. You already know who it is, but 14.6 points from the points per game in college. 6 boards a game, 7.6 assists, 55% field goal percentage, 41% 3-point percentage, 67% free throw percentage, 66% effective field goal percentage.
Lonzo?
Yeah. Those are some crazy numbers, dude.
Those are great numbers, but
41% from the 3-point line and can't break 70 from the free throw line.
It's just easier against University of Colorado than, NBA players. He's just not an NBA, and you've mentioned this, he's not an NBA scorer, but he does everything else above average.
I just found this quote. So it was actually Josh Hart that said this, but he was talking to Lonzo. And so Lonzo said about Lithuania, it's hella gloomy. Nobody smiles. Everybody hates that they're there. And he said, I had to get out of there. And Josh Hart said, sounds like L.A. I'm not talking about the city. I'm talking about the Lakers organization.
God, man.
That's a direct shot at LeBron. That's a direct shot at...
Dude, is that crazy that's the first thing that I thought of was like, that's LeBron being a hard ass in the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that sounds like, Josh Hart might have a little hurt feelings about being out of there.
He should feel good about being out of there.
I mean, he's going to be on a less successful team, and he just moved to New Orleans, which it's a lot cheaper there. They got great food, but, I mean, you're going from LA to New Orleans.
Yeah, well, we've also seen the rickety, wagon that is the LA Lakers right now, so we'll see how that goes.
You think I put way too big of a premium on weather? We've had this discussion before, and I feel like you discount it. So I won't even go there. But
no, I get it. That is definitely true.
I'm just saying,
comparing LA to New Orleans.
On what are we, September 5th? LA versus New Orleans right now, a little different feel. But
definitely, no, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Actually,
I think he didn't like being like the third piece of like he was kind of just like a little cherry on top on that trade package. Because the first round picks, Ingram and Lonzo, are all more valuable than him. He was the fifth option he was like just the little nugget on the end for Anthony.
He's a nice little rotation player that'll be a rotation player for the rest of his career.
Yeah, he's gonna be comfortable with who he is. But I mean, that's definitely a direct shot at LeBron, I feel like, right?
You ever played 2K and tried to find a rotation player that doesn't want more minutes?
Yeah.
You gotta make Josh Hart. It's miserable. Your team chemistry is horrible.
Okay, dude, I haven't played 2K in like 6 years, and it's just so crazy how every year I feel like it's just more intricate than the next.
Dude, it sucks now.
Oh, Jimmy Graham leaping, guys.
Oh, let's go. Oh my God, dude, he's gonna blow out a hamstring.
We're probably at halftime for most of our viewers. We got 7 seconds left and a play left, and it feels like Rodgers has just played like absolute dog shit. He's been sacked a few times, but that's not all on him. He has like 120 something yards and 1 touchdown, no picks, and pretty good completion percentage.
Trubisky can't complete a pass, so that's not.
Well, I said it yesterday. Like he can't really throw moving to the left, which is a
really big point.
That's something that's going to be really hard to teach. If you can't do it at 22, you might not be able to do it at 26. Just saying.
I still can't believe that they traded up to get him like they did.
Well, yeah, in the same draft that Mahomes and Watson went after him, and Mahomes is no brainer better than him, and I think Deshaun Watson is already better than Trubisky with a higher ceiling. You're not as high on Watson as I am. I think Watson's
not quite.
I could make an argument of him being a top 5 quarterback.
I like Watson a lot. I want to see more of him though, and it was tricky with the injury and all that. Wow, what a bomb! It was tricky with the injury and all that. Being out a year didn't help anything. But I mean, that was pretty much like the first game of the year for them, or like second or third, something like that. It was really early on in the season when he got hurt.
Yep.
So I mean, I just want to see more. That's all. I don't really believe in his mobility in NFL yet, and he's had to scramble a lot because Bill O'Brien fucking sucks. Bill O'Brien's the worst coach in the NFL, and it's not even.
Oh, he's definitely not the worst coach in the NFL.
Oh no, that's true. But he's well, I mean, is he technically the GM? I guess he's the worst GM. I know that.
He's the worst coach of a playoff team, or close to a playoff team.
I don't think they're a playoff team, dude. I really don't.
Well, they've been competing for playoff spots the last.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
they're going to compete to win that division because any of those 4 teams can win that freaking division. That's the most wide open division in football.
Yeah, that's true. I think people are maybe underestimating Indy a little bit still.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree. I think they're still in the 7 to 8, maybe 9 win range. This division, with the NFC North with the Bears and the Packers, is most crowded to me for sure. I mean, the Lions aren't really going to be relevant, but Vikings, Packers, and Bears are all, over 500 teams to me.
Oh, yeah.
7-3 though, man. That's a little bit lower than I was expecting. We talked about this earlier today, Justin, how we like the under on a lot of these first week games because teams are just working out kinks. And I think the number here was like 41, but 7-3. I mean, that's ludicrous. You certainly expect more out of Aaron Rodgers game. I mean,
I was just looking at this. Aaron Rodgers is 13 for 20 with 137 yards and 1 touchdown. Trubisky's 10 of 16 with 73 yards, which is not that far behind. It's better than I thought it would be.
10 of 16, I mean, that's like 60, 61%. That's not bad.
They haven't had any luck running.
He did have like 2 little screens at the end there, so.
Yeah, they haven't had any luck running the ball tonight either.
No, and I was pretty, high on both these backs. I mentioned that to you yesterday. Aaron Jones and Dave Montgomery, 2 young guys coming in that are supposed to have some big seasons, and neither one have been impressive. The blocking hasn't been great, though. The defenses have played well, so I'm not going to say, oh, well, maybe these guys aren't going to have that type of season. It's been 30 minutes of football, so right. I'll be patient. But I was certainly expecting more because I think I'll pull the box score up, but I think Jones and Montgomery are both probably under 30 yards.
Let's see. Montgomery's 18 yards. Williams
is leading Jones. That's the thing. I'm looking at Jones. Jones
Justin,
has 4
what does your
yards.
shirt say?
It says "Cue the duck boats."
It said cock balls.
No, no, that shirt will come out this weekend.
That shirt's coming out this weekend when you go to the Texas A&M game.
Who's this player, Josh? We didn't have this discussion yet.
Tomlinson.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Just making sure. I told Justin as we do these live ones, I'm going to be pulling out all the stops, dude. I got quite the jersey collection.
Do you?
Well, yeah, from probably like 3rd grade to like 9th grade. So we're talking like just peak of like jerseys, tall tees, Air Force Ones, and ill-fitting clothes. I mustered up quite the jersey collection. I have like the thing I like is I have like really obscure ones, and I don't want to give too many away, but like I was telling Justin, I have a Tim Couch jersey from the Browns. Like nobody else on the planet has that jersey.
Yeah,
isn't that the number 2 jersey?
What's up?
Wasn't he number 2?
Yeah, number
That's
2.
awesome.
I have KD Supersonics. Which
That's
I think.
awesome.
Oh no, dude, burn that thing.
Never.
I think my favorite one that I have is the Dwight Howard New Orleans All-Star Game jersey.
Okay.
But it's covered in stains because it was so exciting watching him hedge point guards to the half court line. That was the most exciting basketball I've ever watched, so I don't break it out a whole lot.
Dude, I heard Steve Nash and Bill Simmons on the Simmons podcast this week talking, which is fantastic.
It was
Steve
great.
Nash is really good.
Good interview.
Really good interview to listen to, but he was talking about kind of where modern basketball's at and talking about the whole shit show of the Lakers with him and Dwight, but he was talking about people forget how great Dwight was, and I really kind of had to think about it, and then I just started looking at Dwight on Orlando on YouTube last night. It's like, dude, he was the best freaking center for like 7 or 8 years in a row.
He was unbelievable, bro. It was like if you could build a center in a lab, that would be Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Like he was 6'6". He could literally. This was before switching was a thing.
He was like,
like 6'10".
10. Yeah.
This was before switching was a real thing. He would switch point guards and shut them down in the freaking perimeter. He would take these like on a pick and roll. He would take the hedge and he'd shove that point guard into the backcourt almost with his hedge. He was just so fast and so athletic and so strong. Like
Great
he was
feet.
built in a lab.
Like shoulders twice as wide as his waist. I mean, it was just insane. He looked like a freaking action figure. I say this all the time, and maybe this is a bit of an overstatement. If he had 2 to 3 post moves, because he had 0 post moves, it was lobs, and that's it. If he had 2 to 3 post moves, he could have been one of the greatest centers of all time.
Oh, for sure. Here, let me put it in perspective for you guys and our listeners. The real reason why OKC traded James Harden for Kevin Martin and a draft pick and Jeremy Lamb or whatever.
Still funny.
James Harden for Kevin Martin, a draft pick, and Jeremy Lamb was because we were so afraid of Dwight Howard, and we knew that Kendrick Perkins was his kryptonite, so we had to keep Kendrick freaking Perkins. That's how afraid of Dwight Howard we were. We were ready to give up
let go of an MVP.
MVP. Yeah, exactly, because we were so terrified of that guy. That's how good he was. People forget that.
If Durant, Westbrook, and Harden just theoretically played all their years together, could that have been the greatest run ever? Well, I guess the 50s and 60s Celtics, like we can't count that when the teams they were beating, all those players, that was their second job. We can't count that.
Yeah. Who's the coach? Is it still Scott Brooks? 0 championships.
Who would you take, Billy Donovan or Scott Brooks?
Good Lord, dude. I'd take a bullet in my head.
I'll just quit basketball watching all the way around if I
Right.
do those.
That's what it's been feeling like, man. I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for maybe like it's hard to change coaches whenever you think that you're supposed to be competing for a championship, because you're so afraid of messing something up.
We talked about this, though. You think that Billy Donovan's probably fine for the rebuild, right?
I think I'm more excited about him in this role than I am about him in a championship role. Because
I agree with that.
He was great in Florida when he could mature these guys into who they were going to be. You know, he's not a great X's and O's coach. He's a great player coach, and I think he can make people better. I would not want him on my team on my team as a head coach if I thought I was going to win a championship. He's not that.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. We already took a pretty big dump on Larry Brown earlier, so that's great news.
Yeah.
We're always looking to do that, though, I think.
We got Pacific region tomorrow night.
Oh, that's
Division,
right.
not region, sir.
Whatever.
How have you...
Pacific region.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just fucking with you.
Pacific region is like Asia, right? That's the Pacific region.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The Pacific Division, we said the Northwest Division was the best. It's going to depend, obviously, how good the Lakers and the Clippers are, but the Suns just bring that division down so hard.
One of my buddies came up to me and was like, dude, I'm really excited for you guys to do the Pacific Division because I don't know what to do with the Kings. And I was like, shit, dude, I don't either. Like, why don't you tell me what to say and I'll just repeat it. I don't know what to do with
Kings
them.
are the best number because there's 5 teams in each division. They're the 4th best team in that division. They're the best fourth team in any division by a mile.
They're going to be the best non-playoff team, I think.
Of all time.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. But I still think the Warriors are going to be better than people think. Like, I think with that Pacific Division, if things go right for the Clippers, Lakers, and Warriors, for the most part, you could have probably 3 teams in the top 5 or 6 seeds.
Okay, between Clippers, Lakers, and
you could conceivably have.
You put the Warriors in a top 5 seed
or 6.
Okay,
yeah.
Dude,
you're higher on Utah than I am.
Yeah,
you're higher on Portland than I am.
Yeah,
I think I'm higher on Houston and Denver. I think we're both pretty high on Denver.
Yeah, I like Denver. I like them mostly because they're just so unique, dude. They're playing a different brand of basketball than anybody else, and teams that play a different brand of basketball than anybody else win.
Yeah. That's true. You're higher on the Lakers than I am, which is
that's great.
I think Justin's been pretty shocked by how reasonable I've been with this Lakers thing.
Yeah, I think you've listened to my logic and seen that, like.
Well, I mean, LeBron has kind of morphed into a different player these last few years. That I'm not as keen on, but he's still my guy. But it's like,
sure, of course.
I just don't like how it just feels wrong and smells like bullshit from a mile away. And
I described it earlier as a rickety wagon. Like, just think like an old Oregon Trail wagon that's got the wooden wheels on it.
Dude, they left Pennsylvania in this thing, and they're like,
it could definitely make
it. The middle of the desert right now, and if they don't make it to, like they're one thing falls off this wagon, it's over, man.
I think that's the perfect way for us to track this is to make like a map with an Oregon Trail, start it in Pennsylvania, and each game across, and then whenever it starts to veer off the path, we'll decide, okay, this is veering off the path. I think that's the best way to do this.
Dude, I mean, yeah, they have they definitely have the highest. Oh, I don't know if they have the highest upside, maybe with LeBron AD, but they have the biggest. Where I could see variety of ways their season could finish. I could see them, winning the West. I could see them most likely probably settling in that 3 to 5 range. I could see them squeaking into the playoffs at 8, and then I could see an injury occurring and them not making the playoffs. Like, there's a lot of ways this could go.
I think that's what's going to happen. It's just going to be injury. They can't help that.
You don't think they make the playoffs?
No. I still probably think they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's so hard to not put the best duo in the league in a top 3 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they the best duo in the league, though?
That's the question.
I think so. I'm just.
We haven't seen it yet
because
we haven't seen it yet, so we don't really know that.
Who else could you compare there?
The only other. Yeah, I'm not even going to include those guys. There's too much defensive liability there for me.
Okay.
Those guys might be the 2 best offensive players just because Harden's so freaking dominant offensively. And then Russ brings that too, but they're going to have to play defense.
Paul George, I still like LeBron AD more than PG and Kawhi.
I do too. Cause like Kawhi and Paul George can both take over a game, scoring wise, right? They might even both be able to take over a game defensively. But if you gave me a pick of anybody in the league and said, I want you to just control a game from the beginning to end, it'd be LeBron James. Like his basketball mind is the greatest thing that I've ever seen. It's the greatest thing since Bill Russell's basketball mind.
I love that you always talk about how high his IQ is, because I think people always want to lump Magic and Jordan in that conversation, rightfully so. But Bill Russell's IQ was incredible.
Yeah,
the rebounds with terrific outlet passes, the blocks to his teammate rather than into the stands. He's definitely up there in that conversation, but doesn't get included. But no, I'm still with you. I mean, I think Kawhi is close to being the one guy. Like if I'm Game 7 and I have one possession, or I have a few minutes left in the game, LeBron is that guy I want still. I think Kawhi is right there. Like I think Giannis could be, and probably should be, but he's not quite there yet in the playoffs.
We watched film last year, and I sent you guys film watching Kawhi go through his progressions, especially when he was playing against the Sixers, and how he was a little bit slow to identify what was happening.
It's going to be an ISO with Kawhi, but I just really trust Kawhi in ISO situations right now.
Yeah, but if you bring a double at him, he's slower to make the read than anybody else. Like LeBron doesn't make mistakes on the offensive end. Sure, he has turnovers and stuff, like anybody. But what I mean is, like, he makes the right read and he makes
play every time. And he sees it so quick. I mean, he sees it before it's happening. We're getting kickoff here again for second half. I want to transition a little bit back to the NFL, and I want to save some of the specific talk for tomorrow. The episode we're going to record for you guys. I know you probably haven't done the dive into the NFL that Justin and I have, getting ready for PC, and I know you're doing your second degree, but you got any early predictions for who you see as maybe Super Bowl contenders? Are you just going to default to the Patriots?
Gronkowski's going to win MVP. And dude, I honestly have no idea. I tell people this all the time. Every time at work when I tell somebody I'm from Dallas, they're always like, oh yeah, how the Cowboys going to be this year? I'm like, I have no idea, man. I only care about OU football, right?
Right.
So, I mean, obviously you're going to have your annual contenders like with the Packers. Raiders are the team that if I was going to watch any team and be excited about any team just because they're new and upcoming, it'd be the Raiders.
Well, I would definitely do a little research there, because Antonio Brown's not going to be on the field apparently. So,
I'm not saying that they're going to win a championship, but I think that they'd be exciting.
It's going to be a shit show is what it's going to be, because John Gruden's going to lose his mind, because I don't know if he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like OU's going to march into the CFP this year?
I don't know, man. I don't think the Big 12 did themselves any favors with the playoff or with the championship that they put in. A lot of people
generates the possibility of a one-loss Big 12 team, and the AP doesn't like one-loss Big 12 teams.
Yeah, you play the best team twice. You always play the best team twice, always, unless you are the best team, and then you play the second best team twice. So it's like, think about what the playoff would be like if every year, for sure, Alabama had to play LSU twice.
That's true.
Like that's what the Big 12 have done to themselves, because every year OU is going to play Texas twice, or TCU twice, or Texas is going to play TCU twice. It's just you take your best team and your team that has a chance to go to the playoff, regardless of what the college football committee says in regards to we want a champion there. They haven't done that historically. Historically, they've chosen whoever they think is the best and put in the ones that generate money, right?
Agreed.
The Big 12 came out and did this because of TCU getting snubbed for Ohio State in the year that Ohio State won the championship. And TCU went out and just drummed the shit out of Ole Miss. It's like 52-0 or something like that. But the Big 12 put that in because they were afraid of it. But now you have, okay, let's let one team go into the college football playoff, maybe with one loss or two losses, and the other team that's going to play against them has already scouted them for one game.
Right.
So it's like, I don't like it.
Does it frustrate you that like a two-loss SEC team that loses in the championship game could still like potentially get in?
Very much so.
Georgia could lose early in the year and be 11-1, go to the SEC championship, still win the East, get beat by Alabama. Alabama's 13-0, so they're clearly in. But Georgia's 11-2. They're going to be the 4 seed.
Yeah, a loss to Alabama is better than a win in the Big 12,
which is absolutely insane.
Yeah. So it's like,
what is your thoughts as you're a Big 12 guy? I mean, and I am too, but it's clearly OU Texas. Who's that third school that's going to really help elevate the conference? I think it's got to be TCU or Oklahoma State, right?
Honestly, you can't. There's not a third school that can help elevate the conference because none of those schools.
Don't you think when TCU had like Trevon Boykin era that I felt like, well, Texas was down a little bit, but if Texas would have been at a normal level, I feel like if you have 3 teams competing for CFP contention, I mean, you're clear cut the second best conference at worst.
Yeah. So let me ask you, by elevate the conference, do you mean over a long-term basis or do you mean in that 1 year? Because long-term basis, there's not
I
a
guess
team
on that long-term basis, yeah.
Okay. There's not a team that has a chance of being a long-term winning.
I unfortunately agree with that.
Like,
because I love TCU, but I just think they're a really long way away from being a household national name still, which is really kind of unfair because if you look at the last decade, I mean, they probably have a top 5 win percentage.
Yeah, they have over the past decade had the best, or since they've been in the Big 12, had the best defense in the Big 12, right?
Yep.
And they consistently win, and they have New Year's 6 bowl game wins, big ones.
Yes.
But they just don't. They're not a nationally recognized name, and to be able to go and pick up those 5 stars perennially and those 4 stars perennially, you have to be a nationally recognized name now.
They're starting to get there though, because they got the number one. Unfortunately, he got injured, didn't play his senior year in high school, and he has drop foot now. But they got the number 1 quarterback in the country 2 years ago, and people don't realize that. They got the number 1 quarterback in the country. That's a big sign.
Yeah, that's a
5-star,
huge sign. I didn't know that.
Number 1 overall player, number 1 QB.
Who was that?
I got to pull up his name because he's our third stringer right now because he has
drop foot.
He literally has drop foot, dude. Like that's a real thing. Right now they're playing this grad transfer from Kansas State he's a runner. He made some decent throws, but he's like my size, so it kind of concerns me. He's like 6'2", so it concerns me a little bit. The true freshman had a freaking cannon, man. They brought him in at the end.
Yeah.
Dude, so going back to the game real quick, this Packers defense has actually looked really good since the first possession. Bears kind of marched down there. They ended up not getting anything out of it, but they were moving the ball really easily, and it looked like, I don't know, I felt like the Bears were going to have a lot more than 3 points at this point in the game. But Trubisky's been off. They just haven't established the run game, and we talked about it on PC yesterday that the Packers were going to have an improved defense, but I mean, they're keeping them in this game because 7 points, for an Aaron Rodgers offense should not be keeping them in the game.
Yeah. Why do the Bears perennially have a good defense?
Great draft picks, and they take first round draft picks. I mean, that's what it takes. They took Roquan Davis 11th overall last year, but that kid is an absolute specimen. He's been all over the field tonight. They get. Oh yeah, you had the Georgia OU game, right?
Yeah, the displeasure of having him hold us to 50.
Oh shit! Right. I watched that game with you actually.
Yeah, you did.
At his house in Coppell, Texas. Yeah, he had a hell of a game. And remember, I was just like, I was having a little man crush on him that evening, even though I wanted OU to win because I was so impressed by. He just had a nose for the ball. It's like he had a magnet in him.
Dude, I sat there and I was like, I've never seen people or anybody shut down Baker like this.
Yeah, and I know you see basketball a lot differently than you see football, but it's like you can watch that guy and just be like, holy shit, like this guy's teaching me how to like understand this even.
Yeah, and it was like he knew plays before they I don't understand how these college players know plays before they happen. I can understand the NFL because that's your career. But
correct. But if you're at Alabama or Georgia, it's kind of your career too, right?
Yeah, that's
you're not
very
there
true.
for your mass comm degree.
Yeah, dude, he was unbelievable for sure. I'm trying to look up historical bowl records.
So TCU, what put them on the map initially was the Rose Bowl win against the J.J. Watt-led Wisconsin Badgers in 2011.
Yeah, was that your boy Andy Dalton?
AD, baby.
The Scott Farkas.
Yeah.
Scott Farkas is a grown-up.
He might be leading the worst team in the NFL this year. Certainly one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the NFL. I do not have a lot of faith in the Bengals this year.
Dude, how is Andy Dalton still an NFL quarterback at all?
He's not that bad.
He looks like Beaker from the Muppets. That's a problem.
My comparison was Scott Farkas from A Christmas Story.
What is his name? If you just freeze his face, what does his name actually look like it would be besides Andy? Like, I mean, Chad seems a little too obvious, but
yeah,
Chad. He doesn't look like a Chad to me.
He looks like a Chad Henne to me.
Yeah,
maybe like, I don't know. What's that one kid's name? Opie.
Opie.
Hey, Justin, I was telling Josh, I'm, as I'm watching this, really impressed by Green Bay's defense, man.
Same, man.
That first drive, they were moving down pretty quick and kind of felt like, okay, Chicago's going to be able to put up some points on this defense, and they've responded really well.
I don't know that it's probably is the.
Or is it just Trubisky being awful?
Right. I was going to say, I don't know if it's as much Green Bay defense being really good. I mean, I didn't realize that Mike Pettin runs their defense. That's not actually. He's a good coordinator. He was. I don't know. It's hard to say whether he was a good coach or not. He didn't really get a fair shot in Cleveland, but I don't know.
Where did he come from when he went to Cleveland?
I don't really remember. He was a coordinator somewhere.
Okay.
I think
there's quite a few college coaches that could actually make that jump to the NFL, but dude, sometimes with these college situations, man, you have too sweet of a gig to go to the NFL where it's really a lot more high pressure.
That's why I don't understand why Chip Kelly left Oregon, man. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
Made no sense. He had a monopoly in the Northwest, and he abandoned it. He was recruiting the entire Pacific Northwest, all of Northern California, and even Southern California when they started getting really elite.
You can pretty much guarantee yourself that you can have the top talent coming in every single year.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go to the NFL and deal with all these guys that make more money than you?
Right, and it's like a lot more even of a playing field because of the way this thing works. When I don't know, I really don't understand that. And why not be the freaking man, at a university and be revered instead of? I mean, look at how we thought of Chip Kelly as a football mind in 2014 versus 2019.
I knew that was a bad hire right out of the gate, dude. I knew that was never going to work.
Yeah, they got DeMarco Murray. Like it was so because all he ever had was these small, speedy backs, and they go and get, post horse steroid, DeMarco Murray. Did Rodgers just put that on the dirt?
He's fumbled.
Oh, flag.
No, yeah.
You know what you're not trying to see is your $150 million quarterback in the bottom of this pile with 300-pound men on him.
Who is the worst Kelly? Is it Brian Kelly or Chip Kelly?
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly's pretty bad.
Wow. That's why we brought you in, Josh.
I'm just here to not actually know anything about football. I just
R. Kelly's pretty
bad.
Go
in little clips here.
That was 100% a fumble, but I think he got back on top of that.
SEC bowl records of the last 5 years are 6-6, 4-5, and 6-7.
6-6, 4 and 5.
The last 5 years, because that was only 3 years.
Yeah, I said 3 years.
He did.
Wait, did I say 5 years?
Yeah, you said 5 years.
Did you? Oh,
no, that's cool. Read that back to me.
6-6, 4-5, 6-7.
So 2 games under 500. Now, granted, they get put in some tough matchups and they're playing each other in some of those, but I guess that's kind of
in bowl games.
Yeah, I mean, because CFP.
Yeah, what a shit. God dang it!
But I feel like
that's a 500
matchups because the Big 12 gets some Pac-12 matchups, which is nice for us because it shows how crappy the Pac-12 is. But
the Sugar Bowl every year is the best Big 12 team versus the best SEC team.
That's not in the CFP, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, I guess that's what Texas and Georgia was last year. And
go put him on his ass,
dude. Yeah, he just looks. Doesn't he look miserable? His body language is terrible.
Khalil Mack just ate his lunch.
Is that Mac?
I think so.
I think it was 94. Yeah, that was Floyd.
Mac was right there though.
Mac's always right there,
man. Good point. Oh boy, caught that
edge.
Did he
play at UCLA?
Holy moly! Wow.
Khalil Mack?
No, Khalil Mack played at the University of Buffalo.
Fuck yeah!
Wow. Who is the guy from? Oh, I'm thinking of
Anthony Barr.
Miles Jack.
Miles Jack. Miles Jack.
He's
on the Jaguars.
Jags.
Yeah, he's
they got Ramsey too, don't they?
They got Ramsey. They got Boye. They got a hell of a front four in their pass rush. They got a really talented team.
Yeah.
Well, on the defensive side of the ball.
My boy Broyles.
Can you name? No, I don't know if he's in the league. Can you name one Jacksonville Jaguars receiver?
I think they have one of ours. Kenny Stills?
I was about to say you should be able to. No. So we just have so many in the league now. Kenny Stills actually just got traded from Miami.
Is Allen Robinson
I'm pretty
there?
positive they have one of ours, and that's what I was thinking of. With
Allen Robinson's on the Bears.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's not Shepard. He's on the Giants still, right?
D.D. Westbrook.
D.D. Westbrook, right. Yeah, okay.
Who actually I think is your best receiver you've put in the league in the last 10 years.
Shepard looked freaking good in his rookie year.
Yeah, right. And then he's got noodle arm throwing him the ball, so it's a little difficult, but
yeah, that'll happen.
Dede has been getting a lot of love in the the fantasy realm. That a lot of guys are high on him, and he's going to be the number one receiver this year, so he's going to get a chance to step up. I like the kid they have there, CeeDee Lamb, a lot right now. I think he's a good NFL player.
Dude, Jalen, yeah. It must be so weird to be Jalen Hurts and be like, holy shit, this is a high-powered offense. But then he goes on the sideline and goes, what the hell is going on? Whenever the defense rolls out on the field.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, what is this bullshit? But we talked about how he's going to bring that Saban mentality of just hard work, head down, and he's going to thrive in that offense, and that conference was the point I was making, because I think the comment I made yesterday was like, when you go from playing against 240-pound linebackers to 215-pound linebackers, you're like, oh, wow, this is awesome.
Right.
Just run these dudes over.
Not playing against Roquan Smith.
Yeah. You have the freaking predator mowing you down.
Yeah. Did you guys watch the interview with him with Holly Rowe after the game?
No, but that's the reason we got to talking about how his mindset was going to affect the locker room in all positive ways was Jason had brought up that post-game interview, and he seemed pretty impressed by it.
Dude, I'm very impressed by it. He essentially was, Holly Rowe was just saying, are you excited? You just had the best premiere of any quarterback at OU ever. And he was just saying, no, we messed up so many things. I got to go talk to my boys. And she was doing the whole, can you just give me a smile? And it's like, I hate when interviewers do that crap. No, I'm not going to have sex with you, Holly Rowe. Leave me alone. I'm pissed off because I put the ball on the ground twice.
No means no, Doris Burke.
Yeah, right.
What did you text me, Josh? You were like, Jalen's so used to being under Nick Saban's watch, tossing and turning about his 3 incompletions, even though he had an 85% completion percentage.
I know, man. But that's the really big thing that I'm excited about him. Because as dynamic as Baker and Kyler were, Baker was more so dynamic personality-wise than Kyler. I never once saw them go into the defense and say, you guys need to step up. I always saw Baker saying, I need to be better. The offense needs to be better. We need to, instead of scoring 60 points, we need to score 70 points. Same with Kyler. And I hope that Jalen can have the pedigree and have I played for Nick Saban, the best defensive coach in the entire league. You guys need to step up. You need to be better. You need to be more engaged and have that mentality. I hope that he can do that. I texted you. I sent you the interview, and I said, Jalen's still scared he's going to go back to the locker room and have Saban put him in the waterboard table because he missed 3 throws.
Do you think the waterboard table folds out of a locker?
I think so, yeah.
It has to, right?
All right, Jalen, you got 3 waterboardings.
Making the whole team watch.
Yeah.
Making Tua pour the water.
But I really hope that he can be that dynamic person that can.
Oh wow, God!
That is such a stupid freaking play on 3rd and 1.
What the fuck was that? Just run the goddamn ball.
God, this Bears offense. Look at these fans.
I'm furious.
I obviously have the volume down because
I'd
rather listen to Nails on Chalkboard than Chris Collinsworth commentate. Dude, that is just a bad play call. I don't understand even where they were going with. I don't get that. Yeah, this Bears offense has got to figure itself out. It's week 1, so you don't want to have overreactions already, but not good.
Not a great start. It's not over yet. There's a lot of football left, but
they don't have a Pro Bowler on their offense, do they? At a skill position?
No.
I don't think. I mean, Dave Montgomery's a rookie, so it's hard to determine. But probably not. Tariq Cohen's not. Trey Burton's out. I mean, he's a pretty good tight end, but still probably not a Pro Bowler. Wide receiver core Trubisky. I don't know enough about their offensive line. Jason's our resident offensive line expert because he knows literally every offensive lineman in the league, which guys on ESPN that make high six figures don't know every offensive player on offensive lineman in the league.
I was absolutely stunned yesterday when he laid out the resume of the LSU offensive.
Yeah, I was letting him do his thing, dude. If you know college offensive linemen, like you know a lot about ball.
He literally, though, he prattled off the entire career of their OC, and I was like, that is impressive. I'm just nothing but impressed.
Yep. So I guess the point I'm trying to make, though, is pretty much every team, even some of the worst ones, have at least one Pro Bowler at a skill position in the offense, whether it's quarterback, receiver, tight end, or running back. I mean, you look at the Packers. Even if Rodgers isn't, Devontae Adams certainly is a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, dude. I mean, he has the most touchdowns in the league over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Quietly.
He's a touchdown machine. He's not a yardage guy. He's only like 1,000 yards a season, but he's double-digit touchdowns every year that he's been fully healthy. He had a slow rookie year, but another Devontae Adams stat is trying to remember how it was worded, but in games he's played with Aaron Rodgers, because Rodgers has obviously had a few injuries the past few seasons. Games he's played with Aaron Rodgers, they have the highest touchdown per game for a duo in NFL history.
That's crazy.
More than Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning, or Reggie Wayne and Peyton Manning. More than Breeze and any of his guys. More than obviously Brady and a bunch of nameless guys. But that's kind of crazy, though. You don't think of Devontae Adams at that level.
It's true, man. That is a very good point.
I took him as the number 1 wide receiver overall. I liked him more than Michael Thomas or DeAndre Hopkins, even though I don't think he's the best receiver. I just like the position he's in.
Yeah, I mean, he's the veteran on that team.
I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in terms of he's never missed a game in his career. He's sure-handed. He's a good route runner. He's got good enough speed, good enough size. He's the most complete. Like, Julio is a freak. Mike Evans is a freak.
Poor Mike Evans, dude. The fact that he has to
Michael Thomas Michael Thomas's skill set is right there, but the DeAndre Hopkins playing 80 games in 5 seasons is just incredible to me.
I hate that Mike Evans situation. Tampa's just terrible, dude.
He's such a waste of talent, man. Mike Evans is an elite wide receiver.
Dude, and he's going to be washed up by the time he leaves there. It's a goddamn shame.
Well, he's not. Well, yeah, absolutely, because he's 26 right now, probably, and he's on there for 4 more years,
right?
With guaranteed money. So
he re-up with them.
What's up?
He re-upped with them.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I didn't see that. I must have missed that news.
That was last year. You got a fat deal. I want to say he got like 5 for 65 or something like that.
All right, then I can't hate it. I mean, at least he's getting paid.
He's getting paid. Dude, he's like the 6th or 7th highest paid receiver in the league. Which
the great news is you're hitting the couch by January. Shoot. Wow, what the fuck was that?
Dude, Khalil Mack is literally involved in every
Aaron
play.
Rodgers
is flying over the top.
Aaron Rodgers is getting pissed. He just slammed the ball into the ground. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
I'm playing the freaking.
All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off.
All right, Josh. We'll talk to you later, pal.
Glad you're able to get on here.
Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Sir.
On the break. Later, buddy.
Bye.
Dude, Aaron Rodgers is getting killed this game.
Well, here's an idea. Don't have a tight end blocking 99.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck? That guy...
You might as well have had me in front of this guy.
Oh, dude, this is going to be a long season for Aaron Rodgers. Look at that.
Yeah, that's pure frustration. But dude, it's game 1.
I know, but
we
have that kind of.
What is happening? Why is that the 3rd and 15 call?
What the fuck kind of play call was that? Wow.
Do you think he threw that ball behind him intentionally because he hated the play call and wanted to be passive aggressive and prove a point?
Yeah, I wonder if he audibled there.
He didn't have the privilege, apparently.
No, apparently not.
LaFleur is just like, fuck. But, dude, you know what? If he gets a win, none of this matters.
Yep, it's true. But to be that frustrated, slamming the ball on the ground this early in the season is never a good look.
Oh, yeah, to have your punter. This is his 7th punt, and we're not even in the 4th quarter yet.
Well, it's a good thing that Trubisky can't stay on the field either, though. They just need to stop playing. I just tweeted out of my account, and I put it on the Sensibly Loud page, that clip of that ludicrous 3rd and 1 play they just ran. I mean, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
That was terrible. That 3rd and 15 play call was almost equally as bad. But the 3rd and 1, it's like, just run the ball. Like, let's not be too cute here.
At least with that 3rd and 15 call there with Aaron Rodgers, it looked like the play kind of didn't unfold like he thought it would, and maybe that was his RPO there. But like, he just seemed like that seemed like more I don't know, trying trickery on 3rd and 1. Just run the ball up the fucking gut. Come on, what are we doing here, Nagy?
If you're gonna throw a pass, let's not get, at least run a good route. Like the tight end just did a swing route.
Yeah.
Linebacker was all over that, or maybe it's a safety, whoever was manned on him. And then you got 2 guys pursuing your quarterback 5 feet behind the line or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Like, you gotta throw a pass.
Yeah.
Do a quick slant. Do something that makes sense.
Just run the ball. Run the
I think
ball.
we're in double-digit punts here as well, so it's definitely been the under is a very safe call. I don't think we're going to see a 5-touchdown rally here.
Dude, I'm sure you're in agreement with me on this. Like, almost every situation that's available that makes halfway sense, I'm a proponent of just running the ball down. Just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball.
Yeah, I think, right now in the NFL, obviously it's a pass heavy league, but you have these, terrific offensive minds and systems like Sean McVay with the Rams and Sean Payton in New Orleans and Belichick in New England, where maybe I think these offensive coordinators, these play callers get a little too much confidence in themselves, and they just try to they just do shit that doesn't make sense, and they try to be too cute, and I don't understand it. Like,
I mean, you put the ball in the air 53 times in a game, you're going to throw interceptions. It's just a fact.
Right. Or on the opposite end of that, you have Scott Linehan, who just you can literally predict every play that's going to happen. Dude, it's the same thing every week. I'm so glad he's out of there.
I'm telling you, I thought that they were best when Linehan was the pass game coordinator and Callahan was the run game coordinator. I thought that worked really well.
It was a lot better, but you also had that was still with Tony, though.
Oh, for sure. But it forced them to balance the run and the pass game.
Right, but you had, that Murray. Great line, a little younger, prime Murray, prime Romo. It worked better because you had better pieces too. But I hear you on that. It was so beat to death last year of Scott Linehan's got to go. So it's not like that's a hot take, but
sure,
if you really sit there and watch the games, like it was bad. And I kept trying to I don't want to say defend them, but it's like, all right, well, maybe we'll have something ready to go this week. And, you just get to a point where you tell yourself that so many times, you keep seeing the same crap where it's like, no.
I mean, I would argue that Linehan was never the right play caller. I mean, you hire a guy that just failed miserably in Detroit. I mean,
oh, wow. That wasn't a great throw. It was a decent throw.
Yeah, that was decent. You're a little bit ahead.
We're on the same page, though. Allen Robinson can go do that. He is a strong, big body guy.
I keep forgetting he's here now. He's just like his second year here, right?
Second year here, yeah. I mean, it's just, he had that huge year, I want to say like 2015, 2016 and
got hurt.
He went over like 1,200 yards.
Didn't he get hurt?
Maybe he had double-digit touchdowns. Yeah, so he had that huge season where he was like a top 12 to 15 type of receiver, and then he was projected to be like this top 10 guy. Went really high in fantasy, and just all the experts were just really high on him. First game of the year, blew his ACL out on just catching it on the sideline, non-contact.
Yeah,
and,
nothing crazy.
Couldn't really get back to himself last year, but when you blow an ACL out, that's kind of an important ligament for a wide receiver. It might take 2 years to get back to 100%.
False start.
Yep.
Oh, delay game. Wow. I thought they.
Yeah. Mitch has got to be more on top of that. He was shaking his head like he knew he made that.
Yeah, happens.
What's your take on Matt Nagy here? Do you like? I mean, he went 12-4 last year, so it's like
it was a great first year. I don't know, man.
Khalil Mack is nice.
Yeah, that helps. I think this is going to be the year where we see a little bit of like what he's really made of. It's always hard in the first year. I think it's really hard to judge anybody that way.
I got Cordero Patterson. That's interesting. I love how the Patriots just like used him as a running back geniusly, and then we're like, yeah, we're going to cut you now.
Yeah.
Thanks for your service. See you later.
It's funny. Oh, there we go. Good catch.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good throw too.
It was, dude. We've talked about the Zeke thing to death and everything, and like I think the reason that I don't get attached to players because like look at Belichick, dude. Did you happen to see that video of him today? Whenever they asked him if he was excited for football season.
No,
he sat there and stared at him for, half a second longer than it felt comfortable.
That's the thing, is like people think Belichick's a dick. It's like these questions that people
ridiculous.
ask are terrible. Give us media passes, we'll ask better, more more important football questions.
Right. And his thing, he was just like, I like football, I like to compete, so sure. And it's like, but like the point is, like, he doesn't, like, you've never once heard him go out there and gush about a player. And it's like that kind of stuff is what keeps things grounded and keeps guys from getting too big of a head. And like, I think, like, for me, I've just watched that kind of treatment always, or at least in this generation of the last 20 years or so. And like, I just don't get attached to players. Like, I love Sony Michel, but he's going to be the fuck up out of there as soon as he wants a big deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, no doubt about it.
4 for 50, and
right.
They'll say, "Hey, thanks for performing great on your rookie contract. We'll see you later." Because the only position that the Patriots are going to pay for is going to be quarterback, left tackle, and corner.
Oh, what a catch!
And not even, I was going to say pass rush, but they let Chandler Jones go because they draft pass rush so well. But quarterback, left tackle, corner, kind of the 3 marquee positions outside of a pass rush. That's the only thing they're going to pay for. Like, they paid Stephon Gilmore, but they knew they needed an elite corner.
Correct. And that's what
they didn't actually pay him like over market value by any means. That wouldn't catch.
That looked like it at first, but the other side showed. Nope. But yeah, man, I'm with you. But like I said, I don't get attached to players like that in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that any like the platform that you put Zeke on. I get what you're saying, man, but like, I don't put any player on any platform like that ever, and that's just what's bred into me. And I think that.
Oh yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I think our mindsets are just reflections of our franchises.
Definitely.
Although I mean,
dude, how many delay game penalties have been in this game? There's been at least 3.
It's been a lot. Yeah, it's been. I think it's been more than that. There's been just a pretty good amount of flags overall, but that's to be expected here in week 1, I guess.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was going to say, I mean, Dallas is, I like that they let DeMarco walk. Like, they've made some good calls. Yeah. Really, since Steven's been more heavily involved in the process, we've been a lot better because all these draft picks that we've hit on, that's all Steven.
But do you think that Steven was the proponent of turning around and signing all these big contracts? Like,
No,
I don't think so either. But I mean, we talked about this last night too on the pod. Like, it's a chips all in kind of thing, and I get that, but I don't know that Steven was necessarily a proponent of making that decision.
No, I don't know that.
Or Will
he's
McClay
involved in that because he's not the CEO or CFO of the finances at this point. But
sure,
Jerry recognizing that he needed to be the GM or giving him a little more leeway on the leash was the best thing that happened. Because I mean, that turned into Tyron Smith, that turned into Travis Frederick, Zach Martin.
Yeah, they've drafted well. I give them full credit.
Tank in the second.
Yeah.
Dude, if Randy Gregory could stop being a psychopath, like, we have so much talent. Like, if Randy Gregory could stop smoking weed and David Irving could stop beating up people, it's like, we have Damian Wilson stop pulling out AK-47s on pedestrians that steal your parking spot. Like, we could have a really even better defense because I think we have probably a top 10 defense.
Definitely.
Close to top 5. I saw it firsthand against New Orleans last year when we stopped in 13-10.
Yeah. On paper, it's a top 10 defense. I want to see the execution of it all first.
Well, I look at it this way. DeMarcus Lawrence is a top 10 pass rusher for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You have a great rotation of other guys. If Randy Gregory and David Irvin's in there, you could argue it's one of the best defensive lines in football.
Definitely.
With Malik Collins.
It's definitely the most deep.
Right. Just the depth. And then you have 2 burner, massive linebackers, specimens in Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch. I think they're both potentially top 20 backers already.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jalen might be top 10, but I'm pretty high on him. And then you also have Byron Jones, who they finally moved from safety back to corner, which is his natural position, which he played at UConn and what his body's built for. And he was the number 1 corner in Pro Football Focus last year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the talent on paper is absolutely there, and it could even be better. I agree with that. I just putting
Jeff Heath plays safety for us too.
That's a little bit of a problem.
He's so good at stopping the run. He's the best open field tackler on our team. He is the best special teams player on our team, and he has such a good IQ. it's just so evident of why he played at such a small school. I think he played D2 ball, actually. Yeah. It's because he can't guard NFL receivers in the passing game.
Not at all.
He can't even, help on NFL receivers. He doesn't know where the ball's at. As fast as he is, he's fast for a wide dude. He runs a 4.4, but he can't jump, and he doesn't have the body control. And it's really scary when I see Jeff Heath backpedaling, and then quarterback launches it, and then the camera's zooming over. I'm like, oh shit, he's about
that's
to
a catch.
Position.
Yep.
10 times out of 10, he's out of position. It's like, what the fuck?
Was he the one that let that OBJ catch happen?
I have to go back and look at that. No, I mean,
I think that was probably like Brandon Carr, right?
I think that was on Brandon Carr. Yeah, that was on a corner because he wasn't coming over and he wasn't in a starter role there. I wouldn't get mad at him on that. There's been a few though.
No, for sure. I was just
Marquis Alshon Jeffrey on the Bears one that I remember when this guy. I was like, "Who's this Heath guy?" Like maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he came in, and Alshon Jeffrey just mossed him, and he literally had his head turned around. He was looking Alshon Jeffrey in the eyes as he mossed him around his helmet. It's like, this guy's gonna suck.
Yep. No doubt about it. Hadn't gotten any better. He just doesn't have that instinct. Oh, that's
Aaron
not
Jones
good.
just get hurt a little bit.
Yep.
Looked like he was
yelling a little bit or something.
Little DVR action here real quick. Looked like he was grabbing on that hand.
Yeah, man. It's
See, I talked about that at PC yesterday. As much as I like Aaron Jones, I'll pull it up. I think he's about a 195-pound guy.
Yeah, he's not very big.
Not saying that's being 220 is not going to protect your hands anymore. It's just historically, when you're under 200 pounds and you play running back in the NFL, it's a little dicey.
For sure. I can't get over the fact that the Patriots aren't playing right now. I know I keep harping on it, but man, it's bullshit. Roger Goodell sucks.
God, this is not great. The first thing, I have Aaron Jones in a few leagues. First thing I see when I type in Aaron Jones just to get his height and weight is Packers need running back Aaron Jones to break Soldier Field injury curse. And he's just grabbing on his hand. Oh, he's back in there, isn't he? Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. Probably just a little stinger.
Yeah, he's 5'10", 204 is what he's listed at on this.
So he's probably
NFL
195 website. Or so.
Yeah, that's 204 is like his max offseason weight.
Right.
Exactly. In season, he's a little lighter. So not a big guy, also at 5'10". So
It's been a hell of a game, man. It's been super defensive, very, very sloppy.
So I'm trying to catch back. Oh, now okay. No, that was. Let me see. Oh no, that was Williams. He wasn't back in there. I think that was Williams. Yeah, because they're 30 and 33. I keep getting them a little confused. Where are you at on your time clock right now?
42 seconds, 25 on the play clock.
That's where I'm at too. Cool. I was just jumping around this DVR. I got the Hulu with live sports, man. Me and you have talked about this. It's a good way if you're thinking about cutting the cord to go with for sports fans.
It's not too bad at all, man. I'm gonna ditch Uverse here in a couple of months because they did not work out a deal with the NFL Network, so I don't have the NFL Network or Red Zone, and that is going to be a severe.
So you get Red Zone here, which is crucial. I hate that, but you get NFL Network, you get NBA TV, you get all the ABC, NBC, CBSs, and then you get ESPN 1, 2, 3, and U, which for college football fans that's huge. You get FS 1 and 2, and then you get there's 2 or 3 networks they have a deal with. I think we have SEC and ACC network.
That's not too bad.
It's really not. I mean, dude, I had a full slate of college football this past weekend. Was able to get access to all of the, better games that I wanted to watch. I've already pulled it up. I got access to Clemson A&M and Texas LSU. So,
dude, Aaron Rodgers is getting killed.
That's a penalty.
That's absolutely a penalty. He had his wrist on his neck. Look at that.
He yanked him down by his head.
Yeah,
dude, he's trying to hurt him right there. Usually I'm pissed about Aaron Rodgers bitching at the refs, but he's got a fair point there.
Yeah, but if you think
that guy is a what's 96 names? Whenever I see his jersey, I'll know it. But that guy is just a psychopath, and he's a dirty player, man. He slammed Rodgers down just quite a few times over his career. 3rd and 17. Let's see what we got. I know we're probably still a little bit behind them. Get rid of it. Don't have the exact same thing happen.
Wow.
Oh.
Hell of a shot.
Yeah. Jimmy Graham pushed the shit out of that corner in the back to get up and try to get that. The reason he didn't get up and catch it is just all of his momentum was going into that guy's back.
Yep.
Man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hop off here in a second. I got to do some coursework, but 7-3 into the third. I don't think either of us predicted it would be quite this low scoring.
No, we thought low scoring, but I didn't think this. And I mean, there's still a chance the Bears could do something here, but they just haven't gotten anything going on offense tonight at all.
Yeah. So you picked them to win the division. No concerns here, though.
No, I still feel fine about it. They'll get it going.
I think you got to take, you hear a lot on NFL Network and from a lot of these former coaches and GMs and execs where you got to take football kind of in quarters, the season in quarters like you do the game. So let's see where they're at. If they're 2-2 after 4 games, they'll probably be all right.
Like I told Jason the other day, wake me up whenever the playoffs start.
Well, if they're 3-5, I think that's not in a good position to win this division.
Well, no, I'm talking about just in general for me.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I think I'm really excited. You mentioned on PC last night to go look at the Cowboys schedule and really try to break it down. Now, a lot of this is based off kind of where I have these teams.
Yeah, of course,
ranked in my head, but I think I've done enough research, prepping for PC this season to be pretty close, plus minus a few on these. And yeah, I think they could win 10 games looking at it, just because I think it's very conceivable to go 4-0 against the Giants and Redskins.
I think so too. My only concern would be that I'm not concerned about the Redskins at all. That team's a dumpster fire. I don't think Dwayne Haskins is going to be what anybody thinks he is, but I just
not this year, at least.
Definitely not this year. I mean, it's not like
maybe. Or you're saying maybe just in general, you think he's getting a little too much hype?
I think so. I haven't really seen that hype. I think Ohio State's a system, and just like any other big school like Alabama or whatever, it's just how that goes. But I looked at it and I gave them between 9 and 11 wins, I think is what I said on PC last night. And that was splitting like a couple of series where it's like, okay, they usually play the Giants in a weird way. They usually play the Eagles in a weird way. So let's just assume they split those games and you're still looking at like 10 wins. I
think 4-2 is worst case scenario in the conference now that Zeke's going to be there for all the, he may not play this week, but
I'm not a big Carson Wentz believer, so I don't know how I feel about
that. Yeah. I mean, you told me you take Dak over Wentz potentially, and that really blew my mind. So that told me where you were at with him.
My biggest thing I think about Carson Wentz at the end of the day is
that injury was bad.
Right, that injury scares me, and
that was RG-ish, where you just jumped, just dove in at these grown men, and your knee was right there, and helmet connected, and that thing tore. And I mean, RG3 was just never the player he was, after that. But Wentz, even though he is extremely mobile for being a big 6'5", 240 type of guy, and a way better athlete than people realize, he has all these intangibles and skill set to just launch the football. I mean, the guy is a prototype build. He has a cannon arm. He's still got enough skill position talent around him, I think, to be successful. This is a big year for him, though. I think we'll learn a lot about Carson Wentz this year.
I agree. Well, he can stay healthy. That's the problem. And
right. I mean, but he's a better natural quarterback than Dak Prescott. I mean, there's just no question. But he may not be the winner and leader. And Dak hasn't missed a game.
Yeah, that matters. And I really do think, man, like we've talked about the Dak thing a ton and beating it to death at this point. But I really do think my biggest hope is that you got to remember that he stepped into a team that was built that was really bad. That was a broken play, to say the least. But he stepped into a place into a team that was built for Tony Romo, period. And that took some time to deconstruct and reconstruct for his skill set. And I do think that there are mechanical issues that are concerning there. I'm with you there, but I do think that they've finally, getting Kellen in there
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, yeah. I always get him and Kellen Mond mixed up. Like, just the Kellen thing, I guess. But getting him in there, I think, is going to help open things up for Dak's game a little bit. Like, it was still, even up until last year, the offense felt like he was suited more towards an Andrew Luck, Tony Romo type quarterback.
Okay.
That's just what I felt. I always thought that. And it gradually got more towards Dak because that's what you have to do. But, like, that, you know how that goes. That takes time to deconstruct and reconstruct it on the fly. It really does.
And I the team's bought in. I think everyone believes in Dak. It's Dak's team, even though Zeke's the superior talent. I think Zeke thinks it's Dak's team, which I like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that were not entirely sure about that have been drafted in the last 2 to 4 years. The only one we're positive of is Pat Mahomes.
Go figure, right?
He has his skill set could be greatest of all time, even if he doesn't win a championship. Not saying he's going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, but his skill set is he's a bigger, faster, stronger Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, like if Kansas City falls short of
Good
expectation,
throw.
Yep.
Wow,
it was one
great throw. I think Taylor Gabriel, that's a nice little third receiver. Allen Robinson's made some big plays in this second half. He's had 3 or 4 nice catches.
If Kansas City falls short of expectation this year, is that it for Andy Reid? Probably.
It's got to be.
Dude, but he's such a good coach that never wins.
He's such a good enough coach.
Crazy.
He's such a slightly above average. I would say above average coach because, I mean, how many times did he get that Eagles team to the NFC Championship? I think he got to the Super Bowl once with McNabb and lost, but they were in the NFC Championship 5 times probably.
Something like that.
He never get over that hump.
He definitely lost that Eagles team though, right?
Those were damn good teams though. I mean, you had McNabb, Westbrook, Owens, Dawkins. I mean, you had some dogs in their prime.
You really did. And I mean, you look at like, I don't know, man. I just, it makes a difference. So we got a challenge here, huh? Let's see what we got.
First challenge of the season. He's consulting Tariq Cohen. This is
never good.
Yeah. Why don't you listen to what's coming in on the headset, bud?
What do we got here?
Are we going back to that throw from? Yeah, that was a dime right there. Good route too.
What are they challenging here, though?
Can you? You can challenge pass interference this year, right?
Oh, that's right.
Is that? Are we seeing Green Bay throw the first challenge? I thought that Chicago threw it. Okay, if you're going to call offensive pass interference on that, I mean, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah.
By definition, it is. He extended and used it as leverage to pull back.
Have we gotten to a point where we've defined a catch yet?
Wait.
Is that a thing?
Dude, I really don't want to go down that because I'm going to get emotional about the Dez thing, man.
Dude, it's not
Dez
just
was
that.
my guy.
It's so many others, too.
Yeah. I don't think about any of those, though. My mind just goes to that. It's a painful thing.
Absurd. The NFL is the only league in existence that could possibly not be able to define a very obvious rule that they should be able to define for their team.
This is This is an interesting graphic. So 15 challenges against pass interference in the preseason, 0 reversed.
Shocking.
Look, trying to digest what this means. So not called on field was 39. 7 were created in replay, 32 upheld. So I guess they challenged a pass interference that was not called.
Right.
And only 7 of them were actually deemed pass interference.
Dude, they're going to fuck this up. Are
they trying to call defensive pass interference? I don't get why that matters. I guess that gets you 4 more yards because it's spotted foul.
Yeah. Dude, remember when Bill Belichick threw the Microsoft Surface? That was awesome.
Fuck Bill Gates on Apple products.
I'm still a pretty big proponent of using the old card. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. Dude, I'm highly okay, so Packers were challenging.
Okay.
Ball on field stands. No offensive pass interference. I like that.
You lose the timeout, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Wow, interesting.
I like that they didn't call offensive pass interference on that because that wasn't egregious.
Yeah, could have been worse.
It's Taylor Gabriel. He weighs $168.
Right.
You were on your heels because he ran a good route.
This has been a dogfight of a game overall.
Defense has been getting after it, but quarterback play has been certainly subpar on Chicago's side. And I'd say subpar for
Oh my God, how do you not hold on to that ball?
Oh, because he's 5'8".
He's down. Yeah, he's down anyway. Come on.
So that's the issue here is Trey Burton's out, so he doesn't have a great tight end option. You got Allen Robinson, great big body receiver, but Taylor Gabriel's 5'8", Mitchell's 5'9", Tariq Cohen's 5'7". I mean, you got a lot of short guys out there, so you gotta hit them low and hit them in space versus trying to throw balls like that.
How tall is Trubisky?
6'2".
Oh yeah. See, God,
that's tall enough.
Yeah, it's all right.
Brad Favre 6'2".
Kyler Murray's out there for God's sakes.
Dude,
what do you think of that? Do you think he's going to be good?
Yeah.
I think so too. The line is going to be what's going to keep him in trouble.
Yeah, their offensive line is terrible. I thought you were going to allude to the line average offensive lineman in the NFL is probably 6'5", usually ranges 6'3" to 6'7". Dude, these guys are so spread out and stuff that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, it used
difference between 5'10" and Drew Brees at 5'11" and a half, 6 foot is not that big of a difference.
There you go, right over the middle. That's what you need to be doing.
Although I'm almost 6'1", and there's no way I feel like I would be able to play quarterback. I almost feel like it's from a size perspective, but that Kyler's like $185. Because I've never ran that fast before, so I don't know what that feels like.
Right.
It's actually, he's not, I'm not saying I'm fast as Kyler Murray, but he's not that fast. It's just the agility is absolutely absurd. Like, Lamar Jackson is way faster than Kyler Murray.
Yeah, probably.
If they ran a 100-yard dash, he would be 2 strides ahead of him. Actually, I would take a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL in a 100-yard dash over Kyler. I would take none in a 5-10-5 or a 20-yard dash. I would take Lamar. Dude, I would take Josh Allen over Kyler in a 100-yard.
Wow, that was a face mask and a half. Jesus.
Definitely.
Just wrecking his face in.
Illegal use of hands by the offense, I think, is the way they're going to call that.
Holy shit, Trubisky. Jesus Christ, dude.
Oh, God.
Cilantro. Let's go.
Oh, my God. That's just bad defense.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Flag coming back?
Almost certainly. No, I think that might have been on the defense.
No.
I didn't see what the call was.
Bad body language from all the Bears players. I think it's on the Bears. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay, it was on. I just read his lips. It was on number 18, so it was on Taylor Gabriel who made the reception. I was wondering how the hell he got behind everybody like that. Or is that a makeup call for not calling the other one? Oh, come on.
That's weak, dude.
That's so weak. He extended, but he didn't exert force. But it looks like pass interference. So I get in the human eye in the moment because his hands are fully extended, or his arms are fully extended.
But he didn't like. He didn't pushed off of him though. That's the.
But I get it though. That's also a makeup call for them not calling the other one.
Gotta love a good first and 40.
To the point we just made, that was a lobbed ball for Tariq Cohen and Taylor Gabriel.
Yeah.
Like, you're giving up 5 inches to all these corners.
Oh, my God, dude. You got to fucking catch an open pass. Jesus.
Tariq Cohen's been terrible this game. Really, he had that fumble in the first play. 2nd and 40.
Dude, yeah, that's rough.
Some microcosm of this game for the Bears.
Oh, shit, dude. Meanwhile, Trubisky's out there just running around.
Dude, luckily they're not in like New York or Boston or Philly where you just get crushed in the papers. But Chicago's not the softest town by any means.
No.
He's going to get, I don't know if it's the Chicago Tribune. I don't know what the big paper is there, but he's going to get crushed in their local media if they don't put up a touchdown in this game.
Almost certainly. I don't know if.
Oh my God!
Wow,
that was high.
This is horrible, dude. This is a horrible game for the Bears. This is not great for the Packers, but it's definitely. This is the Bears should be up by 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game.
Both these teams should feel great about their defense and awful about their offense. Khalil Mack's just like shit. Should I stay in Oakland? Oh wait, no. I see what's going on over there.
Yeah, nah, I'm good. Dude, I can't believe.
Great. The best thing for his career.
I can't believe that Antonio Brown thing. He doesn't want to play football.
I really can't either. Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to. The more I'm upset on this, 3rd and 40.
But you're gonna walk away. Oh, dude, good a swing pass. Great on 3rd and 40. All right, I'm losing.
All right, we got this to a manageable 4th and 31. What the fuck?
The punt may not get there.
She's like, all right, good job, Mitch.
Holy cow. I can't believe the whole Antonio Brown thing, dude. That guy just doesn't want to play football. That's all it comes down to. I just can't believe he's going to walk away from $30 million. If you're walking away from $30 million guaranteed, there's something wrong with you. There's something off about that dude, man. I don't know what it is, but there's something off.
I don't care at this point anymore either because
heavens no.
The Raiders are going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, it's all a circle.
Well, you were taking a little break there. I was just trying to mess with Josh and get his opinions on Super Bowl contenders this year. He's like, yeah, you're going to have your perennial contenders like the Patriots. I was like, yeah. He's like, the Packers and like haven't been relevant in a few years. Like, I'm most excited about the Raiders. I was like, all right, let's talk about college football.
Yeah. Yeah. None of us are excited about the Raiders. I know. So remember Josh's hard stance against Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
He was so bored last night while he's had a bunch of things happening, and so I think he's been suffering from a little bit of narcolepsy, or not narcolepsy. What's it called? Where you can't sleep.
I think that is narcolepsy.
No, that's where you like randomly fall asleep.
Oh yeah. Insomnia.
Insomnia. There you go. And
don't take advice from us.
No, not at all. He said, especially medical advice, but he said that he was so bored and just trying to like get some sleep that he started watching Hard Knocks last night. So I can't wait to hear what he thinks about it.
Dude, Gruden on there is such a beating to me, man. Like, I thought I was going to enjoy John Gruden on there, and I thought I was going to, just be cracking up at him just, being Mr. Football and those faces he makes. And, like, I always think of, who's the guy that does all the great impressions? Frank Caliendo.
Yeah, Caliendo.
I always think of his Gruden, which is, I could be anywhere in my life and I will laugh out loud thinking about that guy. But he's just been not great. He's just like this, he opens it up with, I'm not about dreams, I'm about nightmares, man.
What a fuck, dude.
I'm like, I'm fucking done with this already. I'm 2 minutes in and I'm done.
Well, you saw that Frank Caliendo came on and did the impression of him, right?
I've only watched a couple episodes. I have them all DVR'd, but I'm a little behind on that.
You're not missing anything, dude.
Yeah, pretty so I was like, I would love to see the AB Mike Mayock War of Words aired on there, but I have a feeling they probably cut that.
Yeah, well, it's over now, right?
Yeah, it's over.
So
we started, but
that'd be awesome if they would have left that.
That would be fantastic. There's got to be someone with video of that, because that happened on the field apparently. Like someone on the training staff or the equipment team had to have some kind of, I don't know. Maybe they can't record out there. It's probably not worth losing your job over that.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. All right, man. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. We'll let this game finish out, and we'll do a review of it on PC next week. We'll record it on Wednesday, so it'll be up to the good people by Thursday. But yeah, man, live stream, lots of fun. We're going to be doing a lot of these, I think, throughout the football season. We'll probably do one more, and then baseball playoffs will start. So Ben, Sam, and I will be doing a ton of live streams, watching all the games.
Dude, I'm stoked for that. I'm going to be relying on you guys for baseball information.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you'll jump on with us a couple times and whatnot. We'll go through it, but we're going to be watching.
So is Pedro Martinez on this team? I'll just be pulling up players from 2001.
It's going to be like we were talking about with Josh before we got on the show. Where's OU at?
Right.
Yeah, no, but it's definitely something we're going to keep doing. We're excited to kind of add the live aspect to it this year.
Absolutely.
It lets us kind of separate things on the shows. It lets us kind of be able to use the shows as actual breakdowns, and then we can just BS on here and do whatever we want. So lots of live stream stuff to come. So make sure to follow us on Facebook. That's at Sensibly Loud Media, on YouTube, Sensibly Loud Media as well. At Sensibly Loud on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And we will be back, like I said, on Wednesday. More football talk to come. Big weekend for college football. Big weekend for NFL. And we'll bring you guys more coverage. Take it easy, man.
Better, man.